He is the second in command of the demon realm. Outwardly strong like a divine being, he's actually frail and sickly. As soon as his body is under any pressure, he will covet blood Lloyd. But in the demon king's heart, as long as it's Lloyd, there is nothing he cannot accomplish. In the eyes of the 12 Legion commanders, Lloyd is incredibly powerful and cruel. A being capable of defeating even heroes, he's not only the demon lord's publicly known trump card, but also the most revered and respected figure in the entire demon world. Lloyd is either on his way to resigning, or in the process of submitting his resignation. Therefore, the demon king was furious. Why would Lloyd, his most cherished subordinate, abandon him and leave all alone? The next second, the demon king's face, cold as frost, transformed into that of a lovesick puppy. He cried, he threw a tantrum and clung to Lloyd's leg. I definitely think I owe Lloyd something. Or perhaps, there's some unnoticed thorn that upset Lloyd. At that moment, Lloyd said something shocking. He asked if the demon king was going to kill him. The demon king was greatly startled. Grabbed Lloyd. Why, you're my most valued asset. Yet you say such hurtful things. Have not you been to the front lines lately? Feeling aggrieved. Given your current physical condition, you should be resting more. Just then, Lloyd's blood naturally fell from his body. The demon king was greatly startled. The demon king's voice echoed throughout the palace. It also Lloyd's attending physician Elia stated that Legion Commander Lloyd had been injured in his last battle against the hero. My internal injuries have not fully healed yet. The demon lord did not want to hear Alia's explanation. He demanded that Elia heal Lloyd completely as quickly as possible. Then you should know the consequences. I obey the demon lord's orders. Afterwards, the demon lord immediately had the medical team take Lloyd back to his room to rest. Then Lloyd was carried onto a cart by the medical team and sent back to his room, but that's understandable. On the way back to his room, but that's understandable. After all, he used his suffer from unknown internal injuries. After all, he used his own body, even if his strength was reduced. Lloyd is also the most respected being in the demon world. Lloyd just wants to resign. Then finally, to leisurely sip coffee, sleep in late, and live a comfortable life. However, fate had other plans. The medical team felt immense shame regarding the Legion commander's current condition. After confirming Lloyd was alright, they all withdrew. Lloyd felt a suffocating pressure under everyone's expectations. He felt a sense of helplessness. He was just an ordinary person after all. He was the strongest general in the demon realm, yet he had the body of a complete weakling. Although Lloyd had fought against heroes with his body, it left him with lasting effects. If the demon king ever discovered that Lloyd was naturally weak, he would probably cut Lloyd down with a single strike. Then I would be doomed. The 12th Legion commander of the demon army knows that Lloyd is fragile. He will definitely treat Lloyd as their new toy, with their twisted tastes. Lloyd shudders just thinking about it. This only strengthens his resolve to leave the demon world. Just then, Lieutenant Ain had just returned from the human world. As soon as they heard that Legion Commander Lloyd was unwell, they immediately came to visit Lloyd. They brought back an item from the Tai Lai world, called the Mirror Cube, as a gift for Lloyd, so that Lloyd could pass the time with the cube while recovering. They also asked Lloyd if there was any way to resolve the after effects. Lloyd casually said, perhaps rebirth is needed. The demon lord is carefully examining Lloyd's letter of resignation. It's impossible to guess what's going on behind Lloyd's silent and taciturn face. But then again, it makes sense. When they first met, Lloyd killed the hero, and he did it by targeting a vital point to prevent the hero from self-destructing. He was still standing there unharmed. For that, the Demon King invited Lloyd to join the Demon King's army. After that, the Demon King began to favor Lloyd in every way. For someone like Lloyd, it would not be appropriate to assign just any task. At that moment, the Demon King saw an interesting document. He immediately decided to gather all the generals for a meeting. If that's the case, Lloyd should be happy, right? He was thinking that the Demon King had ordered him to rest and recover. The Demon King realized how extremely fragile his body was. This meeting was for the generals to discuss how to handle him. Lloyd's expression was dark. He still heard what the female guard said. It is said that Lord Lloyd has been unable to fight recently, which has caused a lot of strain on his body. A slight misstep could result in killing the person in front of me. Watching Lloyd being misunderstood by the demons more and more, the rumors keep getting more absurd. Only then can Lloyd take it easy in the demon world. Have the guards open the door. As soon as the door opens, the Demon King is staring at him with a mocking expression. The entire room is filled with a serious atmosphere. Lloyd thought to himself, I'm screwed. General Jekker told Lloyd that his position is next to the Demon Lord. He wants to verify if Lord Lloyd is as strong as the legends say. General Villeton feels that Lloyd is getting arrogant. General Idlia believes that something must have delayed Lloyd. That villain guy actually dared to show disrespect to Lord Lloyd. Meanwhile, the Demon Lord looks concerned about whether Lloyd's body has fully recovered. A guard steps forward to pour a drink for Lloyd. It's usually really difficult to get a glass of wine. This time, I'm going to drink my fill at the commander's meeting. The moment Lloyd entered, the other commanders were all drinking wine, while he was only drinking plain sweet water. The Demon Lord is actually treating me differently. He hurriedly explained that it was a special order, but Lloyd understood it as... After this meeting, he executed himself. He did not even allow himself a glass of wine. The Demon Lord told Lloyd not to be angry. This meeting was held specifically for you. Then he had the 6th Army commander give a detailed report on the purpose of this meeting. A large number of monsters suddenly appeared at the garrison guarded by the 12th Legion. The 12th Legion's forces were unable to eliminate the monsters. They could only barely hold them off. The remaining villagers have been relocated to the walled metropolis for refuge. The monsters are failures created by the Demon King during the process of making demons. In the past there were heroes like Zai, but monsters do not reflect the true number of monsters. Now that the hero has been eliminated by Lord Lloyd, the 12th Legion is in urgent need of support. At this moment, Lloyd truly understands the purpose of this meeting. The Demon King wants to use this reason to have himself executed, and I never thought about killing the hero. Compared to the beginning, was not it the Demon King who wanted to kill the hero? The Demon King looked at Lloyd. As expected, the right person does not need many words. Our Legion commander will go to provide support. Lloyd was truly impressed by the Demon King's maneuver. Then the Demon King continued speaking. Lloyd just considered as a time to relax. Lord Demon King with that tone? It is this trust that makes Lord Demon King so confident. At this moment, Lloyd is trying to use feeling unwell as an excuse to refuse to go for support. General 3 steps in first, questioning if Lloyd is scared and does not dare to go. General 4 steps in to defend Lloyd. I really want to challenge Lord Lloyd to a match right now. The Demon King continues to persuade kindly. Commanding the Legion from the rear, relieving the current pressure. This should not be a difficult task for you, right? Seeing the expectant looks on everyone's faces, Lloyd could only agree to provide support on the surface. He is a murderous god with a dual personality. The other side is a powerful and cruel Legion commander feared by all. At this moment, Lloyd sat on the carriage, looking sorrowful. Lloyd originally planned to escape the palace ahead of time. Who would have thought he would run into the Demon King right then? This led to Lloyd being sent to the front lines for support earlier. The Emperor also decided to attack the Demon Realm himself, and there's also an older brother who wants nothing more than for him to disappear. Looking on the bright side, of course this comparison can only be made to commoners, and this journey does not require him to be directly involved. At this moment, Lloyd took out the wine he had been thinking about. He secretly brought it over while no one was paying attention. Meanwhile, in the Demon King's palace, unable to deal with the large number of monsters, the Demon King said there's no need to worry. Besides, there's another version of him. His officer Ain noticed the monsters ahead had not gone far. Ain realized they'd been fighting for most of the day. The number of monsters around them shows no sign of decreasing. A huge monster ambushed Ain's. Lloyd slices off the monster's head with a single strike and lands steadily on the ground. Ains was about to thank Lord Lloyd for saving his life. But Ain soon realized that Lord Lloyd was drunk. He hurriedly assured him he was not an enemy. Is this an enemy? Afterwards, this place turned into a battlefield of slaughter. Monsters without any thoughts developed the instinct to fear and flee. He was a war machine forbidden by the Empire's 4 prohibitions. He was thrown into the battlefield since childhood. After 10 years of brutal fighting, he became an emotionless killing tool. He struggled on the edge of life and death time and time again. Lloyd finally snapped. He seeks revenge on the Empire. He was confused about how he ended up in the room. At that moment, Lieutenant Ain and Chief Physician Elia approached. Lloyd was more concerned about whether the monsters had been eliminated. Ain hurried to report to Lloyd. Lord Lloyd, thanks to your courageous efforts, all the monsters on site have been eradicated. This mission has been completed by Yim. Lloyd looks completely bewildered. He only had a small taste of it on the carriage. The Demon King's wine that had been stored for 999 years. After that, his memory became quite blurry. At that moment, Elia looks at Lloyd with admiration. Lord Lloyd, you are truly amazing. You single-handedly defeated all the monsters. Ian watched Ilya fawn over Lloyd. Feeling extremely disappointed, he quickly assured Lloyd that he would keep getting stronger and catch up to Lord Lloyd. Lloyd looked at Aang with his typical Chunabu expression. Even the air felt awkward. Just then, the 4th Army Commander and the 3rd Army Commander simultaneously appeared at the doorway. The 4th Army Commander, Idrilia, asked about Lloyd's condition, whether he was feeling better. The 3rd Army Commander, Mode, questioned Idrilia, asking why he was speaking so loudly. Do not you know the Legion Commander is recuperating? Amidst their argument, the 1st Army Commander, Jakarl, she quietly appeared beside the two of them. Are you here to argue or to visit the commander? Lloyd calmly looked at them on the surface. The commander asked Lloyd to hold back his emotions as much as possible after just returning. Do not immediately think about eliminating the person in front of you. Turn. Disgust. Looking at the tense expression of the commander, Lloyd smiled at them. Frightened General 3 quickly said, My Lord Lloyd, if you're unhappy, you can feel free to hit me. Lloyd was very pleased. Even when facing those weaker than himself. At that moment, General 1 said, My Lord Lloyd, you have successfully completed the mission. The even more excited 4th Army Commander said to Lloyd with a smile. Lord Lloyd, do you know? The entire Magic City is talking about Lord Lloyd's heroic deeds. You single-handedly eliminated all the magical creatures who spread such false news. There's something I'd like to ask of you, Lord Lloyd, said the 3rd Army Commander. Lloyd had a bad feeling. Lord Lloyd, please rest and recover. Afterward, let's have a spar with me, Demung, in JQ style. He is the strongest human in the demon realm. At this moment, General 3 is eagerly waiting for a spar with you, Lord Lloyd. Lloyd looks at General 3. His body is strong as a buffalo. A punch from him would surely turn me into pieces. Lloyd quickly responds that he just finished fighting monsters. It leads to unstable power. A small mistake could be fatal. General of the 3rd Army, with his well-developed limbs, still thought that Lord Lloyd was too afraid to accept the invitation. But the General of the 1st Army calmly analyzed that Lord Lloyd was afraid of accidentally eliminating his opponent in the confrontation. One small mistake could lead to their defeat. The General of the 3rd Army listened to the analysis of the 1st Army General. No wonder he was chosen as the commander by Lord Demon King. Then the 3rd General quickly showed weakness. Lord Lloyd, I never intended to engage in a life-and-death struggle with you. Thank you for your understanding, Lord Lloyd. Aang, who was nearby, thought that Lord Lloyd was truly impressive. With just a few words, he made the once arrogant 3rd General lower his head and admit his mistake. At that moment, for reasons unknown to Lloyd, this matter was resolved in a muddled way. General 3 looked up and grinned. When I've accumulated enough strength, and will not easily lose my life, I'll come back and spar with Lord Lloyd. Lloyd quickly rejected General 3's unreasonable request. Afterward, General 3 sank into his own world, and left lost in thought, and warmly said goodbye to Lloyd. At this time, the 1st Army Commander thanked Lord Lloyd for inspiring the 3rd Army Commander with such enthusiasm to improve his strength. Just then, Lloyd suddenly felt dizzy and fell. Aang quickly stepped forward to support Lloyd. At this moment, Aang said, Lord Lloyd still needs some time to recover. General 4 said with a smile, Lord Lloyd, you should get plenty of rest. We'll be on our way now. Lloyd's mind was filled with the thought of escaping the demon realm. At that moment, General 1 suddenly spoke up. Let me know when you're ready to spar with General 3. Then the next one, can I also practice with you? Lloyd, hearing the 1st Army Commander's words, immediately fainted. He's the 2nd in command of the demon realm. He goes crazy when he drinks alcohol. He eliminates all enemies that appear before him, relying only on a sliver of rationality to judge whether the person before him is friend or foe. In a normal state, Lloyd is timid and avoids trouble. At this moment, Lloyd had just escaped the room and was preparing to quietly leave the magical palace. Then he saw his aide Yen. Lord Lloyd, are you heading to the Legion to train yourself now? Dr. Lay also agreed with Yen's suggestion, saying that patients should exercise more. Recovery will be fast. Just then, a figure with well-developed limbs appeared in Lloyd's mind. His mind was full of the 3rd Army Commander saying, Our mutual agreement. Feeling immense pressure, Lloyd kicked a stone in front of him. The stone rapidly spun through the air and struck the demon head. The demon hit by the stone angrily shouted, Who the hell dares to hit me? Then appeared the legendary Legion Commander. At that moment he thought, I'm screwed. Lloyd was also freaking out inside. He had caused a big bump on the demon's head. The demon hastily bowed and apologized. We are so sorry, Lord Lloyd. We were too loud and disturbed you. Lolly? It was a lowly dream blocking our path. We were just teaching it a lesson. If there's nothing else, we shall take our leave. For this reason, Lloyd was also relieved that the other party did not dare to pursue the matter. The nightmare demon looked at the legendary killing god, Lloyd, and could not help but tremble all over. It was Lloyd's first time in the demon realm to encounter a demon weaker than himself, which stirred a sense of protectiveness within him. He then extended his friendly right hand. The succubus saw in Lloyd's eyes no trace of contempt. It was purely and simply goodwill. He was hesitant. Lloyd forcefully pulled the succubus up. Then he soothed the succubus kindly. The succubus had never been treated like this before. She immediately said, Lord Lloyd, do you have some time now? I want to repay you now. Lloyd looked at Dream Demon with a strange gaze. There was an indescribable oddness. Lloyd nervously stared at Dream. Dream Demon hurriedly said, Lord Lloyd, as a token of my gratitude, I would like to introduce you to the Garden of the Demon Realm. I also want to give you some plants that are beneficial for your recovery. I know Lord Lloyd must be very busy. And at this moment, Lloyd is also very confused. Even the eerie demon palace has a courtyard. The Dream Demon could also see Lloyd's confusion. Lord Lloyd, I am the gardener in charge of managing the plants in the Demon King's castle. My name is... No wonder Xan looks so kind. It turns out he's the gardener. At this moment, Lloyd's mind was filled with beautiful flowers and lush green plants in the garden, and the fresh... Soon after, Lloyd asked Xan to show him the way. In a moment, took Lloyd to the courtyard she managed. Lloyd was immersed in this beautiful environment. A flower beside him suddenly opened and lunged at Lloyd. Startled Lloyd. Xan hurriedly stepped forward to soothe the flower. This is Lord. You'll scare him like that. The kind-hearted Sheen said in a sinister tone, if there's a next time, I'll have to retrain you. Then Sheen quickly apologized to Lloyd. My apologies, Lloyd, for disturbing you. At this moment, Lloyd also sensed that something was wrong here. The plants here may seem harmless to humans and animals, but one wrong move could turn someone into the plant's next meal. He then used the excuse of going to the training ground to check on his subordinates and left. Sheen watched Lloyd's retreating figure. He thought Lord Lloyd would definitely come again. If I give Lord Lloyd the plants next to me, he would definitely like them. At this moment, Lloyd recalled the scene just now, and he got goosebumps. He also remembered his Aidane's words. He had been here for so long. I haven't met my subordinates yet. Soon, Lloyd arrived at the training ground. He looked around for a while. He looked at the wooden swords on the Wukyu rack. He never thought that the seemingly light wooden swords would weigh 100 jin, approximately 50 kilograms. He thought about his appearance on the battlefield. A short sword would be better. Just then, Lloyd's subordinates saw Lloyd standing there with a wooden sword, waiting for them. His posture and expression suggested something very serious was about to happen. His subordinates hastily greeted Lord Lloyd. Are you feeling better? We've all been so worried about you. I only stepped away for a moment. I definitely was not slacking off during the last mission. Sir Lloyd, you single-handedly took down all the monsters. Lloyd told his subordinates to calm down immediately. Then he started saying some meaningless words of advice. He had his subordinates prepare to start training. At that moment, one of his subordinates moved restlessly. Lloyd suddenly slipped. He barely dodged his subordinate's surprise attack. Lloyd panicked. He turned around, dealing another critical blow to the opponent. At that moment, Lloyd discovered that his opponent was actually a human. Why is there a human in the Demon King's castle? Lloyd was... He struggled to raise his wooden sword and struck the human before him hard. Then he moved his wrists. He ordered his subordinates to report to the Demon Lord to imprison this human. His subordinates looked at Lord Lloyd. They left without hesitation. They thought Lord Lloyd must be very disappointed in them. Meanwhile, the speed of those movements was so fast it seemed as natural as flowing water. Lord Lloyd, who was originally strolling casually, instantly avoided the attack with incredible speed. And then he counterattacked. The attacker even tried to escape. Lord Lloyd instantly took the attacker down. Our Legion commander is truly powerful. It feels like we're invisible. We do not seem to exist at all. From now, we must train hard so that Lord Lloyd can feel our presence. At this moment, Lloyd's wrist is swollen and red from using the wooden sword, but thinking about it, I left all the trouble to my subordinates, and I should go back to my room to rest properly. Lloyd, who did not know how long he'd slept, saw the Demon Lord drinking tea nearby, casually greeting him. Then, the Demon King slowly puts down the cup of tea in his hand. I'm sorry to disturb your rest. The situation's urgent. Can you spare some time now? Lloyd looks confused. He wonders to himself he has not caused any trouble recently. He tentatively asks the Demon King, is it about the humans? The Demon Lord patted Lloyd's shoulder. That's right. You must come with me to the dungeon now. In a moment, Lloyd followed the Demon Lord to the dungeon. The demon's dungeon is even more terrifying than the 18th layer of hell. As soon as they arrived, they saw several demons lying next to a human. Beside, the human covered in blood stared at Lloyd. Lloyd thought to himself it was just a night in prison. How could the situation be this tragic? At that moment, the Demon King asked, does not this guy look familiar to you? Though he's human, he could stand toe-to-toe with a demon general one-on-one, especially when facing me. His power will increase. Lloyd also... This guy hero... When a hero fights a Demon King and fails, at the moment of destruction, either they self-destruct to severely injure the Demon King, or they turn into seed fragments with their lives. The Empire will gather the fragments of the seed together. They are also beings known as heroes. And the human in front of us is one of the heroes. Heroes are nothing more than dogs raised by the Empire. The Demon King slowly shakes off the other person. What heroes? They are just the remnants of the brave soil. That's right. If he's a formally certified hero of the Empire, there should be no reason for him to have such limited abilities. But he is a... It would be a shame to use him and then abandon him. They would not just casually put such a hero candidate forward without reason. What exactly does the Emperor want to do? Afterwards, Lloyd made a request to the Demon King. Please allow me to speak with this person alone for a while. Without a second thought, the Demon King agreed. As long as it was a request from Lloyd, the Demon King would do his best to fulfill it. The hero before us had not revealed any information, and his target was only me. At that moment, the other party angrily scolded, "Lowy traitor! After gaining His Majesty's trust and becoming a hero of the Empire, you actually betrayed the Empire and defected to the Demon Realm." Lloyd was shocked to hear the other party's misunderstanding. "I did not expect them to tell you that." "Alright. I understand, so you're a pawn, huh?" "Nonsense. I was given an important task by His Majesty to deal with the traitors." "You calling me a traitor now is the evidence? What exactly is your crime?" Only then would it catch the Emperor's eye, and be abandoned like this, in a way. Lloyd began next on the hero, explaining his specific purpose within the demon race. Everything was for the Empire. The hero from Siege trembled all over. He had clearly given everything for the Empire. Lloyd told him to think it over before losing his life. Then, the entire dungeon echoed with the hero's cries for revenge against the Emperor. Lloyd was speechless. This guy's loyalty was really limited. The Demon King asked, "What do you plan to do with this guy?" Lloyd thought it was better to eliminate him. The Demon King said, "It's no problem. This matter will be handled, but before that, you need to promise me one thing." Lloyd frowned, looking at the Demon King with a smile on his face. The Demon King must be planning some big move. At this moment, the Demon King said the general has received an urgent request for reinforcements from the front lines. This time is quite interesting. It's said that this time it's not just a mere hero candidate, but a true hero joining the battle. I believe you're definitely interested in this. The Demon King looked at Lloyd, who wore a reluctant expression, and continued to add, "If the heroes appearing on the front lines are not fragments the Emperor uses, then discards. But true as ordinary demons would be crushed by them, and most importantly, I'm sure you're curious why the Emperor sent fragments to assassinate you after. What's the purpose of sending true hero again? So I'm entrusting this mission to you as well." Right here, Lloyd was completely dumbfounded. He wondered how he ended up here, and then he heard the Demon Lord say, to get ready and depart immediately. Lloyd was completely confused by the Demon Lord's words. "I had no choice but to unwillingly come up here. Tenet. The only thing I remember is going to the dungeon with the Demon King. That room. When I regained my senses and looked around, I found myself assigned to another terrifying battlefield. Since earlier I've often experienced memory loss. I have not reached that point yet. It's like I'm going crazy. Do I have some strange disease?" Just then, Lieutenant Ain enthusiastically helped Lloyd into the carriage. Lloyd quickly nodded, indicating he understood. He thought, since I'm here, I might as well go with it. At least before I die. I'll see what this hero looks like. In Ain's view, the way he looks now, Lord Lloyd had temporarily relieved his unbearable hunger by hunting monsters before. But how could that be enough? Even if the front lines are dangerous, and the situation is dire, nothing could stop Lord Lloyd from going to the front lines to hunt his prey. Just then, a gentle lowly voice appeared. Lily, the 11th Army commander, looked at Lloyd gently, her eyes full of longing. Yearned to hold Lloyd close to her heart. Lily was... Though she looked cute, her magic power was second only to the Demon King's. He could not be fooled by her appearance. At this time, Lily, the 11th Army commander, nervously fumbled behind her back, pulling out a necklace called the Love Crystal and giving it to Lloyd. Lloyd looked at the necklace with a puzzled expression. He was about to find an excuse to refuse, when Lily, the 11th Army commander, explained that the necklace was imbued with a defensive magic, capable of deflecting one fatal attack. Lloyd said not to, but his hands hurriedly grasped the necklace. He gently touched it as he looked at the sparkling necklace. His hand unconsciously brushed the general's hair. At that moment, Lloyd also realized how he had unknowingly lowered his guard. The instant Lloyd pulled his hand back, Ian hurriedly expressed, "Thank you so much, Lady Lily. Even if Lloyd is invincible and powerful, with Lady Lily's necklace, I'm completely at ease now." Lily was moved by Ain. She did not expect Ain to care so much about Lord Lloyd. He's truly an excellent adjutant. The two instantly hit it off. I will continue to take care of Lord Lloyd with this attitude in the future. Lloyd watched the two in front of him go crazy. Whatever, let it be destroyed. Then he got into the carriage by himself. He was originally the Emperor's war hero, a brave warrior and also his colleague, during a mission. The hero mysteriously died in his arms, and he became the Demon King's most cherished talent. At this moment, Lloyd kept feeling something was wrong as he sat in the carriage. He carefully recalled the details of the last mission. On the way to the battlefield, many people lost their lives. At this moment, the hero told Lloyd to stay behind, thinking that the war should be finished by Emperor GJ. Lloyd hesitated at that time. The hero believed that this demon lord was the strongest in over 10,000 years. If everyone present were to perish, there would be no one left to deliver the message. This task, I'll leave it to Lord Lloyd. Lloyd had once made a wish to the Emperor. This wish requires a great many merits to fulfill. The hero also understood that Lloyd living could do more, and was of greater significance. Letting Lloyd return with the information was the best outcome. It's just that I do not know what wish Lloyd made to the Emperor. It requires so much merit to complete. Before parting, the brave warrior made Lloyd promise him to wait for his return, and to tell him exactly what wish he'd made. Lloyd waited anxiously in the forest for a long time. After much thought, he decided it was better to go and see for himself. If we win, we'll all go back together. If we lose, we'll run away immediately. Just take a quick from afar. Lloyd could not believe it. A brave had actually been defeated by the Demon King, and defeated so decisively. At this time, the Demon Lord, seeing the hero completely defenseless, decided to give him a chance to speak his last words. The hero smiled faintly. He directly shattered his inner energy, initiating a self-destruction. Lloyd, seeing the hero about to self-destruct, thought to himself that he needed to run quickly and report the situation here to the Emperor. At that moment, the demon stood behind Lloyd. Without a word, it launched an attack on Lloyd. One demon jumped behind Lloyd and struck him heavily. Lloyd quickly jumped to the side. When did this demon appear? It attacked without saying a word. Lloyd knew that if things continued like this, he'd definitely be done for here. He immediately drew the short sword wrapped around his waist and charged toward the demon that was swinging its weapon. Using the demon's rear, he leaped above the demon. He aimed for the demon's neck. Lloyd's strike only pierced through the opponent's outer layer. Lloyd thought. At that moment, a violent breeze occurred at the edge of the cliff. Lloyd also started to fall. Lloyd tightly grabbed onto the demon race, but the demon's body was too massive. As the smoke and dust slowly dispersed, the demons stared at the human before them, who had actually killed their 7th Legion commander. Lloyd could not believe he was still alive, and then Lloyd realized he had not only fallen into the very heart of the demon army, but was also right in front of a group of demons. And not far ahead. His expression seems like he's ready to take me out at any moment. What are you doing here? You know I'm about to self-destruct. Lloyd ran toward the hero. The hero helplessly stopped the self-destruction. How much did he hope Lloyd could survive? The hero, while stopping the self-destruction, tries to transfer their power to Lloyd. The Demon King also notices something unusual. This light is completely different from before. How could the hero transfer their power to someone else? How foolish can you be? You gave up on self-destruction, trying to transfer the power to me. 5. Lloyd's frail body. Under the influence of the demon world's gravity. This scene of his, in the eyes of the demons, this human took down the self-destructing hero, and he's coughing up blood. He bore the hero's power with his own body. How could he possibly be unharmed? Lloyd smiled bitterly. What does it matter? Anyway, we're all going to die soon. The Demon King found him interesting. He can still laugh in this situation. Then the Demon King turned to Lloyd. He offered an olive branch. Lloyd outwardly accepted calmly, but inside he was terrified. He never expected that he would survive under such circumstances. From that day on, he was increasingly misunderstood by the demons, and the rumors grew more and more absurd. Lloyd also arrived at the demon realm border. Here Lloyd was waiting. After a brief meeting, Lloyd smiled bitterly. He really had no room for choice. He was the strongest Legion commander in the demon world, and also the most terrifying. Lloyd, his aide Ain, was carefully wrapping bandages around Lloyd. To looked at Lloyd's expectant gaze. He knew Lord Lloyd must be eagerly anticipating the arrival of the new hero. The moment the hero was crushed underfoot. Incidentally, this bandage is a special bandage from the demon realm. As long as it does not suffer massive damage, it will repair itself completely. With moisturizing and beautifying effect, Lloyd pretended to be observing the military camp, incidentally checking out the 7th Army commander's body. In reality, he was trying to stall for time. He was afraid. Really afraid. He just wanted to find a corner to hide. The demon soldiers blushed the moment they saw Lloyd. Their little faces turned red. They could not help but want to be close to Lloyd. The commander saw this scene. Lord Lloyd's arrival truly brought our army's morale to its peak, and the assassin in the tree could not believe that Lord Kakashi's guess was correct. The demon realm truly has a powerful and unpredictable Legion commander. He looks like a dead mummy. He does not seem to possess any great power. Immediately, the assassin pulled out a poison needle refined in pie for decades and lunged at Lloyd. Lloyd walked. He accidentally tripped over a rock. The old poisonous needle did not go as planned. The assassin missed with his strike. He hurriedly moved away from his original position. The demon soldiers thought Lloyd was about to unleash a big move. Lloyd said he was full and a bit stuffed. Stretching is better for the body. Lloyd thought to himself, this demon realm is really dangerous. You can trip and fall just by walking. It's better to head back quickly. The assassin surprised. This guy actually did not report the assassin. Could it be that he wants his subordinates to secretly drop the... Lloyd, who had just returned to the room, looked at Ain. Ain was holding a cup in one hand. This guy was secretly drinking behind my back. Ain, how much do you know about the new hero, Kakashi? Ain apologized, saying, my lord, I truly apologize. I only know that the new hero is a man. The assassin under the eaves. I thought. He did not immediately take down to, and even mention Lord Kakashi's news. Could it be? He knows that I was sent by Lord Kakashi to assassinate him. Ain, do you realize your mistake? He's uncooperative when asked about enemy information. He even drinks in the barracks? That's a capital offense, Ian quickly explained. Lord Lloyd, you've misunderstood me. This wine is for you. Is that... I forgive. Hurry up and pour the wine. Damn it. Finally, I get to drink the wine I've been longing for. Just then, a strange sound came from beside me. The assassin, using a decades-old poison pill refined through his nostrils, secretly dropped it into the wine glass. The assassin thought, this fool, this would not poison you to death. Just as Lloyd was about to drink it, Lloyd stopped his motion. He threw the cup aside. Here, there are bugs everywhere. The moment Lloyd drank the wine, the second personality emerged. He threw the cup in his hand. The officer Ian was startled. He quickly refilled Lloyd's cup. At that moment, the wine glass that had just fallen made a crackling sound as it corroded the floor. Ian hurriedly smashed the cup in Lloyd's hand. He looked at the sound of the corrosion on the floor. It was confirmed that the red wine is highly poisonous, and the hole in the roof just proves an assassin silently infiltrated here and secretly poisoned the wine without anyone noticing. The military camp has also initiated emergency. The general is in shock. An assassin actually infiltrated the camp. The assassination target was Legion Commander Lloyd. If it were not for Lieutenant Ain's timely discovery, we would have been killed by the human assassin. Lloyd shuddered at the thought of the consequences. His whole body went numb. This demon world is truly fraught with danger. Not only is life insecure, even the DJ sees him as a thorn in their side. I have to get rid of the position of Legion Commander quickly. One must survive long enough to live long. Facing Ain's guilt, Lloyd said, it's nothing. This is not your fault. You still have to put on a good show. After all, if this assassin can avoid Ain's perception, it proves their strength. It's much stronger than Ain, and because of that assassin, even the wine was wasted. At the moment we entered, the red wine had not been opened. This proves that the cup was poisoned. Tinkai. For this reason, Lloyd decided to get another bottle of red wine to calm down, and the assassin, fleeing in the deep mountains and forests, clearly understood how powerful the Demon Legion commander was. Not only did the other party not kill him, they even toyed with him. It seems the secret agent's intelligence. The rumor that the Demon King and the Legion commander are lovers. This news is almost certainly true. He is indeed a very dangerous person. For this reason, the assassin returned to the human base. He immediately reported everything about the Demon Legion commander to Lord Kakashi. Kakashi understood as well. The assassin's strength is only below that of a hero, but the assassin appeared to be utterly terrified. This made Kakashi look very cautious. We've decided to retreat our strategic defense line back to the Empire. If they dare to pursue us, we'll eliminate them one by one. If they do not pursue us, we'll have some peace and quiet. Just then, a guard ran in frantically shouting, Captain Kakashi, the Demon King's army has already arrived. Lalai, after drinking the red wine, appears in a state of madness. He begins mercilessly slaughtering the human soldiers in a one-sided massacre. Lloyd is having so much fun. A sword pip. Even Lloyd with his divine body, and it could not stop Kashi's attack. Kashi also confirmed the assassin's information was accurate. His sword energy, cultivated for 10 years, only caused the Demon Clan Legion commander to cough up a little blood. Little did he know, all this was thanks to the 11th Legion commander Lily, and the heart-shaped magic crystal necklace she gave Lloyd. It could withstand one fatal attack. Meanwhile, in the Demon King's castle, General 11 sensed the necklace's destruction, and realized that something was terribly wrong. Lord Lloyd must be in danger. Ignoring the objections of her subordinates, she angrily rushed to the front lines for support. After all, Lord Lloyd, whom she had been thinking about, was there. Kakashi's appearance. It gave the remaining Imperial soldiers a new hope for rebirth. However, Lloyd quickly shattered the hope of the Turkish soldiers. He slowly walked up to Kashi and said, Your eyes remind me of a friend of mine. He was really foolish. He was willing to sacrifice himself for me. Even in death, he never forgot to pledge loyalty to the Empire. And your armor is quite impressive. Let me test just how much defense it offers. The next moment, Lloyd lunged before Kashi. Kashi instinctively dodged. Unable to even see Lloyd's movements, Lloyd's speed was incredible. It's beyond Kashi's comprehension. Kashi can only use his chakra senses to judge Lloyd's movements. After a fierce clash between the two, in just 30 seconds of fighting, Kashi judged. Although the opponent was fast, his power was minimal. In short, quick and weak, as long as he uses absolute power, he can defeat the Legion commander in front of him. However, in the next moment, Lloyd pulled out another short sword. He then kicked Kashi away. Using the momentum to create distance, the two were evenly matched. Kashi was shocked. The opponent was indeed hiding their strength. Lloyd saw how strong the opponent was. If he continued fighting, he would definitely lose, so he said it was late at night. Let's call it a day. Kashi believed the war was not over yet. It was you, the Demon Clan, who first violated the warning line. Lloyd said, the moment General 7 was taken down by you, the war was already over. You can retreat back to the human empire's border. Kakashi heard the other party say they had killed General 7, but according to his intelligence, he had clearly taken down General 11. Could it be that the spy's information was wrong? Kashi, who has obsessive-compulsive disorder, agreed to withdraw to the empire's borders. We will wait to ascertain the veracity of the intelligence, then decide whether to attack or defend. The first army commander feels it's a pity to retreat like this. This is the moment when our army's morale is high. Lord Lloyd must not have had enough fun to let the enemy retreat and recuperate. However, Lloyd, who had been running and running, collapsed straight in front of the army commander. At this time, the army commander finally understood that during the confrontation with the hero, Lloyd had not fully recovered and had actually been carrying on despite his serious injuries and repel the enemy heroes. For the demon soldiers, it brings immeasurable moral boost. I thought Lloyd was a pet brought back by the Demon King. Who would have thought he had made such a great contribution to the demons? When the Demon King learned that Lloyd's old wounds had reopened, he immediately brought Lloyd back to the Demon King's castle. Look at Lloyd, he looks so haggard. The Demon King feels heartbroken. Lloyd says he wants to learn about the new hero's latest information. The Demon King. That's perfect. General 2 just got the new hero's information. Lloyd's mind flashes with the image of General 2. He cannot help but shudder. That second army commander always brings a pile of women's clothing for himself to try on. He even has the nerve to say that the Demon Lord has a penchant for it. The Demon Lord patted Lloyd on the shoulder. Well, do not worry. I'll give the second army commander a huge pile of intelligence to process. He will not be able to leave his room for a few years. Until then, you should rest for a while. Soon, the Demon King will bring a stack of new hero information to let Lloyd understand the situation first. Lloyd is carefully looking at the new hero information. A gentle lowly. Lord Lloyd. Lloyd's main personality comes online, completely confused about how he ended up back in the Demon King's castle. Lily saw Lloyd completely unharmed, tears pouring from her eyes. Lloyd looked at the terrifying General 11 holding him, and still said something like, he was harmed. He clearly drank a bottle of red wine in the barracks. Damn it, I drank too much again and blacked out. Lily quietly said, Lord Lloyd, do you know? I sensed that the necklace I gave you shattered, so I immediately went to the front lines to search for you. When I learned that Lord Lloyd had returned to the Demon King's castle, I immediately returned as well. Until I saw that you were safe and sound, I even heard of your heroic deeds at the front lines. The new hero who single-handedly repelled the human forces. You even forced the soldiers of the human empire to retreat from the demon territory. Lord Lloyd, you're so handsome. I want to hold Lord Lloyd forever. Lloyd listened to the 11th Army Commander's report. I understand. If it were not for the necklace given by General 11, I would have died on the front line. When Lloyd saw the intelligence report, he felt both surprised and fearful. The brother who once made him beg desperately had now become a new hero. Lloyd, feeling deeply disappointed, he left with a stern face, ignoring the 11th Army Commander. His aide looked at Lily with a panicked expression. He said that Lord Lloyd was truly terrifying. He left without a word of greeting. Should not we keep our distance for safety? The next second, Lily's face lit up with infatuation. Lord Lloyd is so handsome. No matter what Lord Lloyd does, as long as it's Lloyd, it's fine. At this moment, the adjutant just wants to leave quickly, escape from this chaotic workplace. Inside the room, Lloyd, what does that damn emperor want to do? He clearly agreed to his terms, and even had my own brother attack the demon race. My consciousness is always fragmented. The only memory I can connect to is the moment I saw the intel. The demon lord signaled that I should return to the human world to collect useful intelligence for the empire, and he placed a tracking spell on my body. In this, I'm a spy in the demon realm. Return to the empire, just a lesson. So what am I, Glee? Just a pawn in their grand game? At that moment, his aide nervously asked Lord Lloyd whether they should depart for the human world immediately. Ian looked at Lloyd with reluctance. Before we left, the demon lord wondered whether he should become the commander of the 9th Army to lead an army, and hesitated for a long time. If he became the commander of the 9th Army, then he could no longer protect Lord Lloyd. He would not be able to stay by Lord Lloyd's side constantly. Therefore, Ain refused the promotion the moment he saw Lord Lloyd. This further solidified his resolve. Lloyd saw Ain standing there dumbfounded, so he urged Ain to quickly prepare food for the human world. Before leaving, Lloyd specifically told Ain to take good care of himself. Lloyd truly cared for Ain, this spirited young man. Unable to bear the pressure, he resigned from his position as the Demon Lord's aide. Lloyd said he would bring back a lot of snacks for you this time when he returns to the human world. He'll bring back a pile of snacks for you. Ian was also moved by Lloyd's words. Which army commander would care so much for their subordinates? While Lloyd was away, Ian decided to work even harder. Waiting for the day Lord Lloyd returns, Ian would appear before Lord Lloyd with a completely new look. The moment Lloyd stepped outside the door, the guards stood at attention. They loudly questioned Lloyd. Do you want to die? How dare you trespass the Earl's residence? Lloyd calmly replied, I'm just going home. No need to welcome me like this. The moment Lloyd stepped through the door of his home, all the servants of the Count's manor respectfully welcomed Lloyd. Lloyd was numbed. Another grand spectacle. Butler Bell was moved that the Count had returned home. He was relieved to see the Count return safely. However, what happened to the Count's injuries? At that moment the butler felt sorry for Lloyd. Lloyd pushed the butler's hand away. I'm already grown up. What could possibly be wrong? The butler also smiled and teased him. You are now a distinguished Count, my lord, and kindly asked Lloyd, after such a tiring journey, would you like to rest first? Lloyd said that he would be meeting the Emperor soon. For resting, Lloyd was more interested in figuring out what exactly was going on with his brother Kakashi. Meanwhile, Duke Lucas learned that Lloyd had returned to the Count's estate and asked Kakashi about his attitude toward his brother Lloyd. Kakashi said he'd commissioned the Assassin's Guild. Lucas sneered. If this commissioning of assassins is exposed, and we're caught, what will we do if the Emperor blames us? Kobayashi, what do you think? Your Grace, if Lloyd's whereabouts were leaked to the rebels, I think the rebels would be happy to eliminate Lloyd. Kakashi, you know what to do. Kakashi said he would contact the rebels immediately. Luke is also curious. The hero recognized by the Emperor. Just how strong is Lloyd? The two maids' faces turned bright red. They saw Lloyd wearing a plain outfit. Would it stand out more if he had more accessories to highlight Lloyd's beauty? What if he held a rose in his mouth? In that case, I would really go crazy. Lloyd looked He had instantly finished his bath and dressing, but the maid's expression right now is so strange. She's actually stressing over what to wear. Anyway, it's just a uniform in one color. What's there to stress about? As Lloyd was leaving, he expressed his sincere gratitude to the butler during his absence. He managed everything in the manner perfectly. The butler, hearing Lloyd say that, said it was his duty, but that he was getting old, his body ached all over, and he was feeling a bit overwhelmed. He often could not sleep at night, alone in his empty room. He planned to discuss his resignation with Lloyd when Lloyd returned home this time. Lloyd was dumbfounded. Butler Bell graduated from the Empire's elite management program. Whether it's managing human resources, material resources, or administrative assets, he excels at everything. What's most important is that the butler does not pay salaries. He often even subsidizes the household expenses. For this reason, Lloyd kindly advised Butler Bell to seriously consider it. At this moment, Butler Bell, it's been a while since I've seen Lloyd. I just wanted to see the look of Lloyd in a panic. This is the only joy I have at my age. Lloyd was filled with rage, but had no outlet for it. When he left, Lloyd only brought a few guards. Lloyd in the carriage, just thinking about the terrifying beings, the Demon Lord and the Emperor, makes it feel uneasy. The current Emperor Godzilla, his rise to power was not by the late Emperor's command. Once the 108th Prince, he personally eliminated all of his 107 brothers and sisters with his own hands. At that time, the blood of princes and princesses stained every piece of land in the palace. Godzilla, covered in blood, personally placed the crown on his head. Even now, 10 years later, that moment is still well known. At the moment Godzilla founded the kingdom, he transformed the kingdom into an empire. In the name of the empire, an invasion was declared against the neighboring kingdoms. The war began as a result. It was at this moment that my own turning point occurred, a war lasting 10 years. I was either fighting or being forced to fight. As a result, my memories are fragmented. In this war, 1/3 of the human continent's territory was swallowed by the Empire. Emperor Godzilla also became the Empire's pioneer, and I rendered great service in the war, becoming an honorary count. The moment Lloyd thought of the demon world, the carriage shook violently. I saw the guards engaging with the enemies. The symbol wrapped around the enemy's arm is the rebel army. If not, the guards may not be able to hold them off. At that moment, a rebel launched a surprise attack on Lloyd, grabbing Lloyd by the neck. The Emperor's dog, I finally found you. Lloyd looked at the rebels before him. A hint of pity appeared in his eyes. The Emperor, in his quest for territorial expansion, has swallowed up dozens of countries, and the people of those lost countries, blinded by they spontaneously gathered, forming the rebel army before us. The rebels are like rats in the street, only capable of petty actions to annoy the Emperor. But why did this rebel army target me? And they call themselves heroes. What heroes? Lloyd hastily declared that he was Lloyd, not the hero you speak of. The rebels were truly furious. Even if I were blind, I would not mistake you, and with your appearance. At that moment, Lloyd drew his short sword and lunged. The rebel looked at Lloyd with disdain. Just like that. So that's what makes you a hero? So the rumors were all false? Lloyd, comparable to a brave warrior, nonsense. He's nothing but a puppet pushed forward by the Dog Emperor. Blame the Dog Emperor if you must. Just then, a sky pierced. The rebel's axe was struck. The axe was knocked down and fell to the ground. A sinister laugh came from behind the rebels. Looks like they're having a lot of fun today. They are the demon cavalry that strikes fear into the hearts of others, born in the era of the Empire's chaos. The Demon Knight Order created by Lloyd. They share the same characteristics as Lloyd's second fire grid. The only difference is, this Demon Legion is led by the second personality. Their favorite thing is cruelty. Wherever Seeth is. At this moment, the rebels also started to have second thoughts. They needed to quickly take down Lloyd in front of them, and leave this dangerous place. Just then, the rebel discovered that his arm was badly injured. He quickly shoved Lloyd away. He stared in disbelief at his own arm. The wound was so deep that the bone was visible. Lloyd stepped in front of the rebel. Such shame. It was just a little bit. I almost shattered your arm. It's really a shame. I'll make you into a piece of art as soon as possible. With a puff, the Demon Legion regained its sanity. Lloyd slowly stepped down from the carriage. This level. Seems like it's still missing something. That's right. This part is almost there. And this part, let's make it a little more perfect. Right? That's it. Even the Demon Legion was captivated by the captain's incredibly superb operation. Is not our artwork still slightly lacking? Just then, the demon army spotted the guards behind them. The guards were so scared they looked bewildered. Lloyd was also drawn over by the noise they made. What is it? Are there still enemies? Let's turn them into works of art too. Soon after, the carriage arrived at the Emperor's palace. The guard's face was one of shock. The carriage was covered in blood. A man in white covered in blood got out of the carriage. He hurriedly stopped him. He explained that this was the imperial palace. Entry without the emperor's summons was forbidden. Lloyd showed a friendly expression. Do not you know who I am? Only then did the guards recognize Lloyd. They hastily explained that the emperor had been waiting in the banquet hall for a long time. Arriving at the banquet hall, Lloyd saw his brother. The brother he both loved and hated. In his most helpless, most painful moment, he had cried out to his closest relative for help, and the person closest to him actually turned against him. The moment Lloyd stepped into the banquet hall, the entire hall fell silent. They could not believe it. That person had actually returned. Lloyd walked past it and felt the presence of fragments. It seems that brother has truly mastered the power of the fragments. He has become the new hero of the empire. The surrounding nobles, seeing Lloyd covered in blood, were also convinced. The rumors that Lloyd is a vampire count were true. Duke Lucas could not help but sigh. It seems the rumors that Lloyd is on par with a hero have some truth to them. The emperor looked at Lloyd with great interest. Lloyd, my most beloved subject, let's go somewhere else and have a good talk. The emperor sat on the sofa looking at Lloyd, secretly delighted. Lloyd had been the vanguard general for many years during the war. He was also a companion to the hero, and he took care of the hero's body. Most importantly, Lloyd lost to the Demon King. Not only was he not thrown to the monsters as food, but he also successfully infiltrated their ranks. The emperor asked Lloyd with concern, have you found a way to lift the curse? Lloyd reassured him, saying it's fine. The emperor cannot possibly think that the magic tracking him is still active. It's a curse that makes one's body incredibly fragile. The next moment, the emperor said, Lloyd, you should return to the demon realm. That is the place where you should develop. Lloyd was also stunned. Having just returned from the demon realm, and now he is told to return, he immediately confronted the emperor. You sent an assassin to the demon king's castle to kill me. What message are you trying to convey? He's just a reserve hero? The emperor nonchalantly joked. That guy is nothing but trash. His existence only tarnishes the name of a hero. You would not be here if it were not for that trash. Has your position in the demon realm become more stable? Commander Lloyd, what do you think? What the hell? Lloyd immediately said that the demon king gave too much. It was really hard to refuse. The emperor said, this is a compliment. Lloyd, you should think about it. No human has ever infiltrated the demon realm like this before. This is a rare opportunity. You must seize it. The next second, the second personality appeared, questioning the emperor why Kakashi was given the hero's position. He's the only survivor besides me, in my family. It is the only one that survived in my hand. Why, who was frail and sickly as a child, had white and red. His parents locked him in the mansion, and faced the servants' whispers, saying that Lloyd might not be the master's child. He might be a descendant of vampires. Lloyd often fantasized about having black eyes, green hair. That way he would not be treated differently. Lloyd, who was extremely insecure, would feel a bit of warmth when looking at the family photo, and his only joy is, it's the feeling of safety and happiness following my older brother, Kashi. That feeling of safety and happiness, facing my strict father. Mother always wanted to keep Lloyd at home, as long as Lloyd grows up healthy. That's more important than anything. Compared to my excellent brother, Lloyd's existence pales in comparison. For this reason, father decided to bring Lloyd to the emperor's banquet this time, hoping that Lloyd could bring honor to the family. Father's attitude toward my brother was always warm and friendly. With a look in his eyes full of hope, this only intensified Lloyd's feelings of inferiority. Lloyd, as an adult, did something irreparable, laying the groundwork for a deep-seated problem, and at the emperor's banquet, he, with his distinctive hair and ruby-like, quickly attracted several mischievous children. At first, knave Lloyd thought he'd made a friend. Children are often innocent, but some brats are just devils. From the initial mockery to the later various insults, young Lloyd could only feel anger. He raised his small fist to fight back, questioning the brat. He knows nothing and just speaks recklessly. The only response to Lloyd is a cold fist. The weak Lloyd is pressed to the ground. A punch lands on his face. Helpless Lloyd can only let them mock him as a monster. At this moment, Kashi was nearby. Discovered that his younger brother had been beaten up. He hurried over to check if his brother was seriously injured, and the news of his injury spread like wildfire throughout the mansion. The family had never seen such a weak descendant. This is in contrast to their mother's sorrow. Lloyd paid more attention to the expression on his father's face. It seemed that his father hated him even more. At that moment, Kashi took Lloyd's hand. Lloyd thought his brother was trying to encourage him to stay strong. But unexpectedly, his brother told Lloyd not to mind. No one expects anything from you. Since then, Lloyd was locked in his room by his father, and was not allowed to step out for any reason. He would see his father, mother, and older brother outside the window, talking and laughing. And it felt like he was an outsider. This situation continued until Lloyd's teenage years. The only one who comes to see him every day is a single servant, who reminds Lloyd it's time to eat. Perhaps his only pleasure is the time he plays Go with his brother. Only at this moment can Lloyd learn about his parents. His brother always says his parents are very busy, even knowing it was a kind lie. Lloyd did not dare expose it. Clearly mother always stood secretly by my bed late at night. It does not matter. Anyway, I'm a dispensable person. Just then, Two officers entered from the doorway. Kakashi angrily stood up. He was about to question who the person was. The Emperor has issued an order. Lloyd is to be urgently summoned to the front lines. Lloyd in his youth is being dragged out by the officer. Kakashi hurriedly stopped the officer. The officer shook off Kakashi's hand. Your family submitted a formal document to the royal family. We were only following orders. Ask your parents for details. That's all? Lloyd's face was filled with panic. The moment he learned his parents were sending him to the battlefield, the sky in Lloyd's heart collapsed. The parents clearly knew their health was very poor. If they went to the battlefield, they would definitely die. Why did not my brother stop them? The moment Lloyd turned around, the cold was like a sharp cold dagger, deeply stabbing Lloyd's heart. It made Lloyd understand. I'm someone unworthy of love. Turns out, everyone longed for me to disappear sooner. On his first day arriving at the battlefield, Lloyd held his sword. The heavy sword made it hard for Lloyd to breathe. However, the people in the army camp, they were puzzled when Lloyd arrived. They began to discuss it. Lloyd is a high-ranking noble. Why was he assigned to the front lines? Look at his frail body. He'll probably lose his life on the battlefield on the first day. When Lloyd heard the word death, he made up his mind. You must survive. The war day after day. One by one, fell beside Lloyd. It made the once timid and weak Lloyd live every day in a hellish nightmare. Until it appeared, from this battlefield a killing god was born. Everyone who appeared before him would become a cold corpse. The numb battlefield made Lloyd miss home intensely. Years of caused Lloyd's longing for home to gradually fade. Looking at the letters sent from other people's homes, now not everyone's eyes, now is filled with tears of happiness. But after waiting and waiting, I received a frontline commander appointment notice. At this moment, Lloyd made up his mind to turn that former home into hell as well. Lloyd returned his former home and killed with his own hands the father who had driven him to hell. Looking at his grieving mother on the floor, he unhesitatingly swung the My mother has also left this world. Lloyd at this moment felt both joy and sorrow. But why the sorrow? Just then, Kakashi opened the door. Lloyd, his face full of tears and guilt, looked at his parents on the ground. Brother, help me. I'm in so much pain. Help you? Who will help you? The next moment, Lloyd at Kakashi. Kakashi quickly defended himself. I cannot do anything. From the perspective of the main personality, how badly I want Kakashi to suffer so much that I tear myself apart. As long as I can go to hell, all this pain will disappear. Exhausted, Lloyd finally slowly collapsed. Just as Kakashi raises the moment to take down Lloyd, my lord, snapped Lloyd back to reality at the party. It was the Demon Legion's commander, Rihanna, who had arrived. Lloyd looked at Kakashi before him, his brother's green eyes, his black, were things he himself could never possess in a lifetime. At this moment, Kakashi could not help but speak up. In the demon world, I encountered the legendary commander. His appearance brought an immeasurable boost to the morale of the demon world. It reminded me of you. Is Kakashi deliberately testing me? Could it be that he knows I'm the commander? I'm the commander. Listen to what Kakashi is saying. If I were in their army, maybe the morale of my army would not be any worse than theirs. At this moment, Lloyd could not help but laugh. What the heck? Do you want me to practice shadow clones? My dear brother. This long-lost day. The last time I ate this was 15 years ago. This guy really is always bothering me. Right at this wonderful moment, 75 is still asking if the monster is injured. Even if injured, I would not show it in front of him. Lloyd did not want to pay attention to Kakashi. He continued eating his pudding by himself. At that moment, Duke Lucas appeared in front of him. Kakashi quickly bowed. Lucas extended a hypocritical hand to Lloyd. Lloyd remained silent. He slowly turned his head away. Swallow the cloth in your mouth first. This action astonished the celebrities and nobles in the banquet hall. Lamir Honorary Earl dared to treat the Empire's only duke with such an attitude. He truly is the cold-blooded Lloyd. Lloyd's coldness made Lucas want to kill him immediately. Lucas' gaze had already said it all. At this moment, the crown prince stepped in to break the awkwardness of the scene. He approached, spoke beside Lloyd. Do not be afraid, I'm here. Faced with the crown prince in front of him, Lucas could not help but lower his head. That guy has been lingering around Lloyd. Could it be that he's up to no good? Lloyd can only be protected by me. Suddenly, someone appeared behind and hugged Lloyd tightly. Lord Lloyd is finally back. This time I will keep you by my side firmly. Everyone also noticed this scene. Looking at the blood all over the ground, they were all confused. Lloyd felt distressed. The pudding that was about to be swallowed was unexpectedly spit out by the princess with a heavy blow. Linaculi covered Lloyd's mouth. Do not say anything. It will be exposed in a moment. My subordinate fully understands the feeling of intense anger. The Lao caught the emperor's attention. By the emperor's side is the empire's greatest hero, Shuku. The princess is also feeling very guilty right now. If only she had been a little gentler earlier, maybe this would not have happened. Everyone was also very curious. Lo02. Could he really faint from a mere bump by the princess? The emperor explained nearby. On the way to the palace, he was attacked. It's likely that his internal organs were injured, combined with exhaustion. This is the result. Lloyd wanted to explain further. This is pudding. The emperor spoke up and told Lloyd to go home. After all, he was burdened with the curse of the Demon King. Even if the court physician came, there was nothing they could do. Lloyd had no choice but to follow the suggestion. It did not matter if people found out it was pudding later. Suddenly, a feeling of dizziness hit. Someone stumbled. A person tightly grabbed Lloyd. Lloyd over. He was about to say thank you, but froze on the spot. He quickly shook off Kakashi's hand. Lloyd had a look of disgust. Why does Kakashi always look so concerned about himself? Himself on the battlefield, struggling countless times on the brink of life and death. Why only show concern now? When I was sent to the front lines by Yez, why did not he stop me? The emperor gently patted Lloyd on the shoulder, a look of concern on his face. Let Lo hurry back to rest. It seems like everyone hates themselves. They've already started showing him the door. I should not have come in the first place. Lucas shot a glance at Kashi and wore a rather thought-provoking expression. Lucas casually asked Kashi, "Is your brother causing trouble at your party? Why not act right away? Why not take him down immediately?" Kakashi expressed that he did not want to escalate the situation. Lucas's eyes showed a hint of pity. When Kashi came to him seeking refuge, he had just lost his father and mother. He was also deeply affected by his brother Lloyd's fear. At the time, Lucas asked Kakashi why he had come to him. Kashi whispered, head bowed. "I did it to protect." Back then, what kind of protection did Lucas decide on for Kakashi? After seeing Lloyd, that madman? I also understood that Kakashi truly needed my protection. Since Kashi has become my loyal dog, how could I possibly let you suffer the slightest injustice? Lloyd having just returned to the Earl's mansion, I could smell something burning from a distance. Then I saw a crowd gathered in the front yard. Flames were burning all around. Were they having a party in front of my house? When Lloyd saw it was members of the Demon Legion, he began to doubt his own eyes. He immediately questioned them. "What are you doing playing with such heavy-duty stuff in front of my house?" The Demon Legion still wants to make excuses. Suddenly a Zed appeared in Lloyd's hand. "This smooth text feels like that pudding I did not swallow earlier," Lena hurriedly said beside him. "That's a Zed." Lloyd was startled and threw it forward. The moment Zed landed, a huge fireball erupted. Lloyd exclaimed, "The Demon Legion's toys are getting more advanced. What will they play with next time?" At that moment, at the location of Ziz, a man stood up and said, "No wonder he's comparable to a hero." He sent the Zed right back using only his perception. Lloyd and the others were also relieved. The Zed did not explode on them. Once they saw the symbol on the man's arm was from the rebels, the Demon Legion became even more excited. It was as if this was a sign from their leader. They would definitely learn to play like him in the future. Lloyd said angrily, "How did you end up here? I clearly assigned you all to the Lofty Knights. Could it be that you got kicked out for partying too hard with the Knight faction? Did they kick you out?" The Demon Legion members clung to Lloyd. "My lord, we're yours in life, and yours in death. How could you say something so hurtful?" Lena, angry, immediately scolded them. Lloyd's heart pounding quickly left. Lloyd was also terrified. The rebels not only ambushed me on the road, but also wanted to ransack my home. I asked myself, what have I ever done that was so wrong? At this moment, Lloyd noticed that there was still a surviving rebel. Seeing the other person stumbling and limping, he was about to let them go. Suddenly, the butler descended from the sky, shining like the brightest light on the scene. In just a few moves, he subdued the rebel. The butler thought to himself, the master must be impressed by my heroic stance. Seeing the master's surprised expression, the butler felt quite satisfied. Lloyd was also surprised. The butler, who usually acted like he was dying, was so ruthless when he actually took action. The butler noticed Lloyd's expression. He looked so haggard. It's only been half a day. After carefully asking questions, the butler learned everything that happened today. He then instructed the servants to let the master rest for now. At this moment, the rebels gritted their teeth, watching Lloyd's retreating figure. I know to overthrow the tyrant Godzilla, the first step is to eliminate Lloyd, one of his 3 henchmen. Then there's the top hero Xuku. And finally, the scheming Chancellor Avatar. The members of the Demon Legion heard the rebels say that Lloyd is the Emperor's dog. The enraged demon army killed the rebels with a single blow. The butler looked at the lifeless rebel soldiers. He pondered how to report to the kind master. Lloyd had thought that once he returned to the Count's residence, he could enjoy life. But what was all this paperwork in front of him? He could not finish it. It was simply impossible to finish. The butler at this moment was like a teacher. He occasionally checked on Lloyd. After seeing that gentle moment from the butler, the word no disappeared from Lloyd's dictionary. And from then on, the demon army and the knights of the Count's mansion are either arguing or bickering every day. Just look at the demon army's attitude. You can tell exactly who's stirring up trouble. This constant pressure makes Lloyd just want to give up, and the butler kept talking nonstop. One moment praising the Emperor's wisdom, the next moment praising the Demon Legion as exceptional talent. Lloyd, hearing the butler praise the Demon Legion, thought to himself, the Demon Legion truly is exceptional talent. But there's so much information. It's still the information about the family's original territory. The law was, did the emperor return the family's territory to him? The butler added aside. After you attended the banquet, the emperor completely assigned the original family territory to you. Lloyd was completely dumbfounded. It was clearly agreed upon. Let me become an honorary count of the border. An honorary count of the border holds almost as much power as a marquis, and the family territory is essentially useless to me. It's also the place I despise the most. It seems I really need to have a serious talk with the emperor. Just then, a guard reported from outside. The crown prince and the general are here to visit. Meanwhile, in the hall, the crown prince and Shuku are looking the Lloyd family photo. It proves that Lloyd is someone who cherishes his family, and at this time, a guard comes to the hall to take the crown prince to the study. The crown prince, with a joyful expression, thinks about how he should begin. Before coming here, his younger sister Al had a displeased expression, make the crown prince, her older brother, panic. Although 7 days have passed since the Princess Carrie incident, Al felt all that effort was wasted. And she even used a beauty trick. She had clearly simulated that scene tens of thousands of times. Who would have thought that Lloyd, with his godlike physique, would cough up blood from a Princess Carrie by a weak woman? Regarding this matter, Alec feels he was planning to call Lloyd to the palace, or maybe go to his count's residence, to apologize, but the crown prince firmly rejected his sister's idea. This could cause a scandal. And sister, you do not even love Lloyd? Al said, my dearest brother, for the sake of the royal family, I can also learn to love him. As long as your position is more secure, Al is willing to be seen as a foolish princess. As long as Al and Lloyd consummate our marriage, then there will be no worries about your succession to the throne. Create excuses for the nobles to stir trouble. And as long as I become the countess of the estate, I will be able to control the count's house. This will also help my brother, who will become the emperor in the future. To this, the crown prince still tells his sister that if she wants to give up, she should just give up. Do not force yourself. But my sister even made me investigate her image in Lloyd's mind. At this moment, the general stands beside the crown prince. The crown prince is also thinking. Lloyd looks flustered. How did these two guys appear here at the same time? The crown prince looks at Lloyd. He explains what happened on the way to the count's mansion. Meeting the general was purely coincidental. Lloyd saw Shuku's. He felt Gus. The aura of Have. At this time, the crown prince stated that his visit was to apologize for his sister Alice's rude behavior at the banquet towards the count. Lloyd said it was a trivial matter. The crown prince, seeing the atmosphere was just right, said, there's something I need to ask of you this time. This sentence made Lloyd extremely nervous. The next second, Lloyd received a friend request from the crown prince. Lloyd wondered if the crown prince was seriously ill. He specifically came over for such a trivial matter. Seeing the crown prince's bashful appearance, Lloyd began to have doubts. And what's with that general over there? If Zebat agreed, he really will draw his sword. Lloyd trembled as he said, it is my honor to be friends with the crown prince. The crown prince received Lloyd's affirmative response. He also showed a bright sunny smile. Lloyd, though speaking contrary to his heart, said, today is the happiest day of my life. The crown prince also felt Lloyd's sincerity. He suggested that Lloyd come to the palace in the future to practice the double flying sword together. Then they would have tea and chat. When leaving, the crown prince stroked Lloyd's small hand, asking Lloyd to visit the palace often. He said he would look forward to each meeting with Lloyd. In the living room, Lloyd and Shuku stood there dumbfounded. Lloyd wondered what he should say. At that moment, Shuku said the purpose of this trip. The emperor wants the rebels who were captured a week ago. The goal is to take control of the rebels' base and to eliminate them completely. Of course, the emperor also said, if Lord Count resist, it's not impossible. He asked if my knife would agree. Lloyd silently led the way in front. Soon after, Lloyd had the rebels handed over. Shuku looked at the rebels in front of him, his face full of confusion. He questioned Lloyd about the 3 people who had been captured. One of them was killed by the Z-bomb, so how did the other one die? Please answer me properly. Shuku looked at Lloyd. Unconsciously, he recalled the war from back then. At that time, Shuku was very different. He was clearly a noble, yet he was sent to the front lines to die. This made Shuku particularly concerned. Back then, Shuku also felt sorry for Lloyd. His eyes were filled with fragility. His expression had long since lost all traces of life. Suddenly, Lloyd seemed to transform into another person. His eyes were filled with cold indifference and evil, like a demon from hell. In other words, this child has an full personality. Every time I think of this, Shuku felt a chill running down his back. At this moment, Lloyd looked at Shuku coldly. I do not know what you're talking about. Right now all I see is you. Are you the enemy? Upon hearing this, Shuku walked away without turning his head. As expected, this mad dog has never been stable. Why would the emperor keep such a dangerous factor close by? What is the reason behind it? Lloyd, coming to his senses, saw the butler standing beside him. The butler stepped forward and said, my lord, there are monsters rampaging at the front lines. Shall we send the demon legion to the border to deal with the monsters? Lloyd, at the thought of the frenzied demon army, did not hesitate to agree. He ordered the butler to dispatch the demon army immediately. Lloyd saw. What the heck? How did he end up at the border? He watched Lena high-spirited in the distance. Lloyd asked the demon army, confused. How did he end up here? The demon army said such an interesting activity. We believe the captain would be interested. The captain sitting around bored all day at the Earl's mansion is not a solution. He'll get depressed without bloodshed after so long. Lloyd thought, cut the crap, will you? I clearly intended to refuse completely, but that guy actually started clinging to my legs and acting cute. He kept saying we were family. But secretly he took me to commit murder and arson. Even the butler advised me to go out for a walk to clear my head. The physically imposing demon army was even moved by the butler's deep affection. I should have taken them to see the missing butler, but how do they know? Before this, the butler and I discussed something. This long journey was to lure out the rat lurking in the Earl's mansion. If Lloyd was still a little worried before this, after witnessing the butler's incredible kick that day. Suddenly, I feel a little sorry for the rat lurking in the mansion, but this is also good. It's better than worrying every day that an assassin will suddenly appear and kill. At that moment, the demon army spoke confidently. Was not the captain the only one who went into the demon realm alone? And in the demon realm, he even fought the demon king and kicked the demon army. Lloyd just wants to know, which little cutie has been spreading rumors about me all day long? Just then, a group of monsters appeared ahead of the demon army. Most people would be scared and run away when encountering monsters, but this is the demon army. Seeing monsters is like finding money on the ground. Lloyd suddenly started to miss his time in the demon world. Although even a small gardener could raise a man-eating plant, it did not affect the beauty of life in the demon world at all. It felt like that was the normal way of life. At that moment, Lena took a deep breath. Lloyd looked guilty. If it were not for his request with the Emperor back then, Lena's abilities are probably enough to lead an entire legion by now. At this time, Lena curiously asked, My Lord Earl, will you be joining the battle this time? Lloyd replied, Let's let the troops relax for a while. After all, they've been under a lot of pressure for so long. In the midst of intense battles, the demon army almost attacked each other because of the monsters. What's more, some of the demon army were chopping monsters while shouting, Captain, come here. Let's have some fun. Lloyd quickly waved his hand. Lena awkwardly covered her head. Just then, a sound of something breaking through the air was heard. It caught Lloyd's attention. The moment Lloyd turned around, a cold arrow struck Lloyd with pinpoint accuracy. The moment Lloyd was hit by the arrow, the guards on the city wall noticed what had happened. Is not the Empire's Count comparable to a hero? How did he end up fighting with those people? The war's only just ended. It looks like this Count has been badly injured. Wait, in that case, we can frame the demon army for launching a surprise attack on us. Our kingdom might be able to demand a high price from that emperor. Lloyd looked at the assassin in the grass, especially the archer holding the bow and arrow. It deeply intrigued Lloyd. He ordered the demon army to capture and skin the archer alive. Lynn advised Lloyd to treat his wound first. Without saying a word, Lloyd immediately snapped the arrowhead. He then ordered the demon army to take out the special treasure. In Lynn's panic, all the demon army members swallowed the treasure. Lloyd smiled. This is a treasure that can drive one to extreme madness. Anyone who appears before me is an enemy. Having never witnessed a powerful assassin, I thought this was a simple mission. I charged directly at Lloyd with my longsword in hand. Lloyd leaped powerfully. In a blur, he instantly appeared in midair. Lloyd looked down at the assassin below. That fearful look is truly the most delicious food in the world. A simple dive quickly subdued the assassin and ordered the demon army to swiftly deal with the remaining assassins. The assassin tried to resist, but was pounced on by the demon army. In an instant, the air itself smelled of blood. Lloyd instructed Lena to keep an eye on the half-dead assassin. Do not let him, otherwise there will be no show later. While the demon army hesitated, Lloyd shouted angrily, What's wrong with you? Do not think that just because you become knights, you can fight like proper warriors. You will always be the mad dogs of the demon army. Being merciful to the enemy is cruel to yourself. If you show mercy, you deserve to live in this world. The demon army is completely controlled by the captain's emotions. We are doing this to survive. To survive, the assassin is also caught on. These guys are even more monstrous than actual demons. It's all that guy's fault for paying too much. We should never have charged in. The mission was just to eliminate the target. Plus he offered half pay even if we got injured. It would have been better to retreat after a failed attack. Kashi understands that too. In the banquet hall last time, the friction between my younger brother and the Duke, especially after the banquet, the Duke's questioning of me. Although my younger brother is the person I hate most, he's also once the person closest to me. The assassin watched Lloyd's every swing of his blade, and a subordinate would die before his eyes. His crimson. It's more terrifying than the red flow of blood. Time is passing second by second. The assassin is trembling more and more on the ground. Only then does he realize how foolish he was. He sank to this point just for a little greed for money. At this moment, Lloyd slowly turned his head. He looked at the only assassin still alive on the ground. The short sword fell to the ground with a casual flick. Lloyd silently watched the assassin for 2 seconds. He spoke in a soft, menacing voice. I do not need to know who your master is. I will carve away every inch of your flesh, one cut at a time. Meanwhile, in the palace, Godzilla heard the Prime Minister say with a worried expression, The Earl is having a fierce battle near the border with a group of suspicious figures. Seems like he is seriously injured. The Kingdom of Elaine took this opportunity to falsely claim that Lord Count had attacked their walls. When Godzilla heard that Lloyd was injured, His brows involuntarily furrowed. Lloyd is a figure comparable to a hero? This must be a... He then sneered. How dare a Myralian kingdom demand compensation from us? When Godzilla's hand stopped on a certain part of the map, the Prime Minister instantly sensed danger. He still wanted to say something, but Godzilla had already decided to go to war. Let the alien kingdom pay a bloody price. As long as we acquire their wealth and supplies in the war, that's enough. After all, I am a tyrant. Prime Minister, do you want to stop me? Recently, I've also been planning to conquer the continent. Since the Kingdom of a Lion likes to jump around so much, let's just target the Kingdom of Lion. Back then I killed my own siblings. The moment I sat on the throne and became an emperor, it was destined that I would conquer the entire continent. I will make the entire continent bow at my feet. It become my... Help me achieve a legacy that lasts 1,000 years. When the Prime Minister was seen retreating, trembling, Godzilla thought for a moment and then said, Kyle, have you ever heard of the Salvation Doctrine? Its influence is rapidly expanding in the slums. The war is about to begin. This dangerous factor must be dealt with as soon as possible. I think Lloyd should handle this matter. At this moment, Suku raised an objection. Godzilla thought it was because Lloyd was too cruel to the enemy that he would raise an objection. At this point, Suku revealed a secret hidden within Lloyd. Lloyd has two personalities. The other one is lost in madness. The presence of two different characteristics in one person is an uncontrollable factor, and it's extremely deadly. One slip up, and he'll become a mad dog turning on his master. Suku hopes the Emperor will carefully consider the candidates. Godzilla slowly. I know all that you've said. Sue was surprised. I tried again to get the Emperor to revoke the order. Just then, Godzilla raised his hand. Suku also stopped. Though I consider myself a tyrant, but facing a cherished minister, I can easily play the role of a benevolent ruler. Even though you are being extremely disrespectful to me right now, I will not argue with you. Looking at Shuku's worried and melancholic expression, Godzilla said, the Union will never casually keep dangerous individuals around. Back then, the heroic made the unreasonable request to personally destroy his own family. Faced with such an unreasonable demand, I have no reason to refuse. After all, my rise to power has long been a thorn in the side of the major families. In exchange, Lloyd needed to accompany the hero on the journey to slay the Demon King. Lloyd did not disappoint me. Not only did he handle the hero's body, but he also displayed the will of a hero. The only pity is that Lloyd killed his father and mother. Kakashi returned to the mansion a little late that day, allowing him to narrowly escape. But it's all for the best. Now he's become a useful pawn to control Lloyd. Lloyd not get rid of Kakashi without dealing with me. To survive, he would only choose to become Lucas's dog. Think about how these two brothers have loved and fought each other throughout their lives. It truly is a fascinating masterpiece. This man appears timid like a mouse on the outside, but in reality he's a demon who kills without hesitation. Just now he staged a classic scene on sight. The next second, his gaze followed the hot blood, looking at his palm, the doubt of silk retreating, the incomplete blood-stained memories in his mind. That bloody and terrifying scene made his mind explode. At that moment, a man covered his eyes with his palm. Leaning close to his ear, whispered gently, "That was not you." Lloyd suddenly sat up. He had no memory of the dream he just had. A sharp pain shot through his shoulder. Only then did he remember the arrow wound at the border. Before long, Lloyd had returned to the Count's manor. Thinking about it, the journey had been incredibly dangerous. But where did the butler go? The butler remained calm. He looked at the captured jet. After getting the information he wanted, there was no need to keep the person around. Upon learning that Lloyd had returned to the mansion, the butler adjusted his appearance and carefully instructed his subordinates to follow the carrier pigeon. We must find out who is behind this. At this moment, the butler quietly walked into Lloyd's room. The two locked eyes. Through their silent exchange of glances, the butler also identified the mastermind behind the assassination of Lloyd as being either the rebels or a hostile kingdom. Among them, Duke Lucas is the prime suspect. Lloyd watched as the butler analyzed everything with great insight. He secretly rejoiced in his heart. Having a clever and wealthy butler is truly wonderful. When Lloyd arrived at the palace again, the princess excitedly rushed toward Lloyd. The crown prince awkwardly greeted Lloyd. Lloyd responded to the crown prince with proper etiquette. The next moment, the crown prince said, "Adore, we are friends. You're being too formal." Seeing the crown prince and princess, who were like wolves and foxes, toward Jet, Lloyd felt completely numb. We were supposed to just have some tea, but the princess's action, are not they a bit inappropriate? Lloyd, if he had known this would happen, he should have come earlier, or a little later. Just then, a sudden pastry attack assaulted Lloyd's mouth. Lloyd was also forcibly activated in defeating mode by the princess. At this moment, the crown prince showed a worried expression. "I heard you've been injured again recently. Please take care of yourself. Only then can you protect the emperor for a long time." "Actually, I do not want to be emperor. You should know, the emperor and I are only 8 years apart. The emperor will eventually abdicate and I will grow old. If something happens to me unexpectedly, it would mean the empire will fall apart." Lloyd appears calm on the surface, but inside he's already in turmoil. Is this something I should be hearing? The current emperor is the former 9th prince. To sit on the throne, he personally killed all his siblings. Even their descendants were wiped out. What's puzzling is why only the crown prince and princess were spared. Moreover, The two in front of me do not hate this uncle at all. It's rumored that the crown prince and princess's father is Prince 1. He is so kind he hardly seems like royalty. He was especially kind to Prince 9 who had no one to rely on before he passed away. He would look for the 9th prince every day, asking him to take care of his children. This was not a relationship of blood relatives, but one better than family. And there's a saying circulating among the people, that if the first prince were still alive, the 9th prince might not have rebelled. The crown prince tightly holds Lloyd's small hand, a lay tease from the side. Do not put too much pressure on Lord Earl. Likely found an excuse and left. The crown prince and the princess watched Lloyd's departing figure. They also knew that the situation was escalating. If the empire does not win over powerful forces, then the ending might change drastically. I also knows Lloyd's importance. The crown prince agrees with his sister, no matter who stands in their way. Even royalty will pay devastating price. Even Lloyd with his godlike body is injured again. Just now, the lost asked the person in front of him where he was, and slowly approached him, trying his best to put on a gentle smile. Unexpectedly, the other person not only stepped back, but also drew a short sword and stabbed Lloyd. The assassin wondered what went wrong. This route had been simulated thousands of times. It was fool. How did someone target him? And the person was none other than the legendary killer, Lloyd. At that moment, Kashi lifted him up effortlessly. Lloyd instinctively shouted, "Brother." Kashi was startled. "I have not heard that title in ages." His eyes suddenly sharpened. The assassin hastily begged for mercy. The papers on the ground caught Lloyd's attention. At that moment, Lucas had already picked up the papers. He curiously asked Lloyd if he had come to see the Emperor, and praised Lloyd, calling him a true killer. Just based on a trace of his murderous aura, he could identify the assassin who infiltrated the palace. Lloyd felt a headache coming on. He was clearly just lost. The crown prince and princess also arrived. Seeing Lloyd's shoulder wound and the blood flowing from his nose, they hurriedly summoned the palace physician. Lloyd knew his body was acting up again. Kak explained to Lucas. He was injured while subduing Je. And at that moment, the royal physician summoned by the crown prince came running with a medical kit. Upon seeing Lloyd in the crowd, the imperial doctor was stunned, not only but also very panicked. He knew that Lloyd could not be cured at the banquet last time, because he arrived a moment too late. He was surrounded and questioned by the highest-ranking members of the empire. Lloyd thought, wrap a bandage and cover it. Is it really necessary to shake like this? The palace doctor can only pray to the heavens. May the Earl be free from disaster and illness, living as long as the heavens. At this moment, the crown prince anxiously asked the palace doctor, how's the Earl's condition? Just finished dealing with the crown prince. Kashi grabs the imperial physician by the collar. He questions the physician. Did you really examine him thoroughly? Shuko suddenly appears and states that Lloyd's injuries are caused by the Demon King's curse. He says cold. The Emperor commands it that Lloyd appear before him. Lloyd also noticed the cold, indifferent eyes of Shiku. It seems this guy is also planning something against me. As he was about to leave, Lloyd turned around and said, Your Highness, there's no need to act like this in the future. The crown prince clenched his fists. A deep sense of helplessness washed over him. Seems Lloyd knows that this curse is incurable. He asked everyone not to worry about him. He's clearly such a kind person. Yet people avoid it. They even maliciously slander him. Meanwhile, Luke is in the carriage. Remember the documents he had seen earlier. He clearly said that he would not start a war anytime soon. It seems the external situation is also unclear. For himself, for the pipe, he must also lend him a helping hand. Godzilla saw Lloyd's exhausted face. Though he was the ruler of the empire, he could not change anything. At the bank, when Lloyd arrived covered in blood, Godzilla saw the scene. He was deeply moved by him. It was during a private audience that he discovered Lloyd had been cursed by the Demon King of the Demon Realm with an unbreakable curse. Later in the banquet hall, an overwhelmed Lloyd spat blood in the hall. That damn court physician did not even know where he had gone to slack off at that time. By the time he arrived, Lloyd had already left to return to the Count's mansion to recover from his injuries in that damn low-ranking kingdom. Taking advantage of Lloyd's injury from fighting the assassin and demanding compensation from our empire, Lloyd was also just recently wounded by a type dagger hidden in the palace. My deal. How can I compensate you? Lloyd never expected that. The Emperor's mind raced for tens of thousands of times in just 2 minutes. He just needed to relieve himself. He really had to go. And at that moment, Lloyd mustered his courage and spoke to Godzilla. Lloyd mustered his courage and talked to Godzilla about the issue of the original family estate's ownership. At first, Godzilla refused. When he saw Lloyd's expression of being a foe, Godzilla compromised. However, before that, Godzilla made a condition. He wanted Lloyd to investigate the rescue church and destroy this evil organization. Lloyd immediately felt it was better to refuse such a troublesome matter. However, Godzilla slowly, I've entrusted this matter to Duke Lucas. Your brother Kashi will also go to wipe out the rescue sect. If your brother successfully completes the mission, I will fulfill his wish. Upon hearing this, Lloyd could not hold back anymore. Godzilla immediately gave his approval. My dear subject, Lion is looking forward to your performance this time. Well, if it can stop Kakashi, that works too. Godzilla continued to add at this point, This mission, whoever completes it first, I will grant their wish. Lloyd also made up his mind to complete the mission brilliantly. Lloyd looked at the beauty tea on the table and felt a little hesitant. He curiously asked the butler why they'd been brewing this beauty tea lately. The butler replied that it was personally sent by the Crown Prince. I thought the Earl would love the beauty tea the Crown Prince sent. Lloyd saw the beauty tea and was reminded of that scene in the palace. He remembered drinking too much beauty tea back then, frantically searching for a restroom in the palace, almost getting assassinated by an attacker, and then summoned by the Emperor, where he was completely dumbfounded for half a day. Just then, "My Lord Earl, this is a tonic the Emperor had prepared for you, upon learning of your declining health." His Majesty specially had the imperial physicians from the West Palace carefully prepare this potent tonic. Please, for your own health, you must drink it. If you fear the bitterness, I've also carefully prepared some sweet sugar. Just then, Lena walked. She saw Lloyd holding his mouth with a frustrated expression. Lena handed over the information about the Salvation Church. When Lloyd learned that joining the Salvation Church would provide food simply by believing in it, he found it quite strange. At the same time, a bunch of question marks popped up in his mind. The wealthy and talented butler analyzed from the side. Church that has to bear such huge expenses like this probably is not something ordinary nobles can afford. There must be an invisible hand behind the scenes pushing this forward. Lloyd, who was bursting with the urge to pee, had just stood up. In that instant, Rena was touched. The Count is truly worthy of being the captain. Lead by example in everything. Charge at the front line. Lloyd heard that Lena was going to leave with Zibao. "Sister, I was just going to the bathroom." Just like that, Lloyd was brought by Lena to the rescue team's territory. Lloyd had a million expletives running through his mind. "I was just going to the bathroom. How did we end up in the rescue church's territory?" Rainer takes out the refugee disguise and dresses Lloyd up. Lloyd, now dressed up, warns Rainer that he's going to a mysterious place. "I hope you take good care of yourself." Rainer, even at a speed of 200 meters per second, cannot catch up with Lloyd, who's about to spray something. Rainer thinks about Lloyd's pale expression. Lena involuntarily thought of the Demon King's curse. Lloyd, having just freed himself, was in a very good mood. Around the corner, Lloyd saw someone he should not have. The two locked eyes. In an instant, Lloyd's veins bulged. He involuntarily coughed up blood. This Danik. The once inseparable brothers meet again, but it's not love, nor brotherly affection, but an atmosphere thick with hatred. And Kakashi, the older brother, focuses his attention on Lloyd's arm. That assist was enough to freeze a grown man to death. Lloyd felt a tearing sensation in his left shoulder. Only realizing it afterward, he broke out in a cold sweat. How could be? Kakashi was the mastermind behind hiring the assassins. Just then, Kakashi said what Lloyd least wanted to hear. "Your life may have been a mistake." Lloyd wished he could right then and there make Kakashi vanish from this world. "My lord?" Rainer stared blankly at the scene. Is not this Kakashi the new hero of the Empire? Lloyd called out to Lena in a low voice. Rena sensed the Count's weakness. As the captain of the Lloyd Knights, I failed to protect Lord Lloyd. It's a grave dereliction of duty. Damn it, that despicable Kakashi. Taking advantage of Lord Lloyd's weakness, he launched a sneak attack. I will make sure this scoundrel's blood stains this place. Step back. If Lena wins at Kakashi, it might be the best outcome. But Kakashi's strength, the chances of Lena winning are slim, and at this moment, Kakashi brushes past. My dear brother, are you planning to infiltrate and rescue the church? Your involvement in this matter, I'm afraid, will bring danger. Kakashi's voice, the most sincere and gentle, made Lloyd feel as though countless ants were gnawing at his heart. It's disgusting. Brother, I really thank you. My idiot. He's naturally frail. He's also burdened with a Demon King's curse. He's such a worry. The dejected tries to numb himself with mud. He even asks Lena if she wants some. You clearly promised to act together with me. For this, Lynn also started trying new mud. To obtain information about the rescue team, some sacrifices are unavoidable. Lloyd just felt disgusted. While Lena was still carefully applying the mud, Lloyd had already taken the lead. This way it would not raise any suspicion from the rescue team. Lloyd had a clear target. It was a person not far away, as long as he pretended to be in a bad state, and suddenly did a kick. Lloyd staggered. After rolling on the ground a few times, he finally reached the door. Lloyd showed Lena the true image of a refugee. Lloyd was lying on the ground, wishing we're dead. Anyone who's fallen knows, it's an incredibly humiliating position. Look dangerous too. Being practical is not safe at all, and this fits the image of refugees in the minds of the rescue organization. In that moment, Lena had an epiphany. As long as she pretended to be pitiful, she could successfully infiltrate the rescue organization. The idea was beautiful, but reality gave Lena a harsh lesson. Not only did they refuse to take Lena in, but they also had their followers drive her away. Little did they know, Lena's innate noble aura and her steady stride were clearly in stark contrast to that guy. The difference was striking. One look and you can tell, he's a person born to suffer. His frail body and his tattered clothes. A person like that really gives you the feeling of wanting to cherish and protect him. The moment he entered the Salvation sect, Lloyd was also shocked. The buildings here are identical to ordinary temples, and the priests and commoners here seem very friendly. Everything here seems unusually happy. There's not a trace of the outside world's wars and chaos. At this moment, Lloyd noticed that the other person was staring at him. Smiling, they said, "Here no one will judge you based on your appearance." She even took the initiative to help Lloyd remove his hat. Lloyd thought to himself, this is bad. The other person was stunned when they saw Lloyd's appearance. They were shocked. How could he have red eyes? Those eyes were mesmerizing when they saw Lloyd's shy expression. They also felt a sense of disappointment in this world. The other party also confirmed those red eyes were just like someone else's, as the infamous Lloyd. How could he be so weak? And then the other party started to provoke Lloyd. Do you know where this is? This place not only freely distributes water and bread to the poor, but also exists as the people suffering under the tyrannical rule of Godzilla formed the Salvation Sect. Even your recent fall was caused by the tyrant not paving the roads properly. This explanation further fueled Lloyd's curiosity about the Salvation Sect, and after Lloyd took a look around inside, I found that this place is not only suspicious, but also has a solid, reassuring feel. Just then, a little girl behind him asked Lloyd with anticipation, "Are you a new believer?" After receiving a clear answer from Lloyd, I assured Lloyd, "There is plenty of food and water here. You do not have to worry about suffering outside." Lloyd is also curious. Why does Saya speak so highly of this place? That's not something ordinary methods can achieve. Just as Lloyd was trying to gather more information, a young Uber urged Saya to hurry. From the boy's eyes, Lloyd sensed a deep wariness. It seemed he did not look like someone who anyone who's ever gone on a rampage knows. The momentum of rampage looks terrifying. The people around him were actually not safe at all. Just now, Lena was searching for a breakthrough to infiltrate the rescue organization. She found a large amount of abandoned bread on the ground. Amidst the panicked footsteps around her, Lena hid in a corner to gather intelligence. From the information exchanged by the others, she learned about Lord Lloyd's infiltration of the rescue organization. It's been exposed. In this stint, drip. Lord Lloyd is clearly a noble of high standing. To complete the mission, he did not hesitate to let muddy soil cover his entire body. Even more so, investigate the rescue sect in person. That leap, this should be recorded in the Imperial Annals. And as the captain of the Knights, I cannot possibly allow my lord to fall into danger again. Meanwhile, Lloyd was catching his breath in a corner. After crossing paths with Sia, someone suddenly called out to him from behind. He thought his infiltration and rescue mission had been exposed. The seemingly easy investigative task actually is not easy at all. The kind old actually forced a bunch of bread on me. The reason being, my bones extraordinary. I look like I have not eaten in half a year. You're not going to starve to death, making you stronger. That's good. God closed a window for Lloyd. But then Lloyd discovered another closed window. The moment Lloyd lifted the purple curtain, members of the rescue sect began appearing outside one after another. Lloyd smelled a familiar scent. What Bella? Kashi again. At this moment, Lloyd also realized that the woman standing in the center of the podium, who had previously been concerned about him, held a higher position than the priest. And the commoners below, he's become so blindly devoted that he believes everything the woman says, to the point of unconditional trust. Lloyd is increasingly anticipating the true purpose of the rescue sect, and at this moment, the woman pulls back the curtains and casts a spell on the wall. She claims only the chosen can enter. Lloyd was curious about what was on the other side of the wall. Kashi struggled to control Lloyd. After the civilians had all entered the teleportation array, Kashi finally released Lloyd. From the look in the brothers' eyes, it seemed that each considered the other superfluous. Lloyd placed his hand on the wall and discovered it was made of jewels. The opponent is using witchcraft. It's a type of magic that is extremely difficult to learn. This also makes it rare to encounter witches, and this high-level witchcraft, who exactly is behind the rescue sect? If I give up, then the chance to make a wish to the Emperor will fall into Kakashi's hands. Just then, the priest rushed in. Lloyd thought, before coming in, could not you have learned to knock? Respect each other's friendship a little. Miss Saren, we have an intruder. That person was rampaging inside the building. He was looking for someone called Master. Lloyd looked confused. Master, could there be a third party that infiltrated? Suddenly, the door slammed open. How did Lena appear there? Who is the lord he's talking about? Under Lena's intense interrogation. The priest still does not know the name of the other party's lord. Meanwhile, Lloyd is hiding in the corner, trembling. The gem has not cut off communication inside yet. If he goes out, he will definitely be exposed. Inside, Saren instantly understands the situation. Outside, the knight ends. It must be the knight who was driven away before, and the lord he mentioned is that seemingly weak red-eyed man who evokes a protective instinct. That damn scoundrel. So he's the killer, Lloyd. I was ultimately wrong to trust him. After Kashi came, security in this building was heightened. If it were not to complete the Duke's mission, how could I possibly sacrifice this place to let Kakashi complete the trial? And Kashi repeatedly warned me to beware of Lloyd. Who would have thought that the enemy would openly infiltrate through the main gate? But it's fine. If it's he. Lena looked confused. Where did the Lord go? At this moment, Lloyd slowly poked his head out. He hurriedly shouted at Lena to leave. Without saying a word, Lena knelt to the ground. A child abandoned by their family since childhood, faced only a heart that has never been loved. At this moment, it miraculously warmed up. My esteemed Lena will be loyal to you for the rest of my life. The only regret is that what Lena means is that as long as it does not go against the Emperor's will, the priority to read first, looking for a powerful wizard, to unravel the hidden task within the rescue church. The next day at the Count's mansion, Lloyd was troubled, unsure whether to search for a wizard in the south or try looking in the north. At that moment, the butler announced that a wizard had been found in the north. Lloyd was overjoyed. I arrived at the witches' tribe with Lena and my subordinates. While puzzled, Lloyd was, that witches usually live together. How could they live in such a desolate place? Lena said, my lord, you could be a little rougher. I would like that better. Just then, Lloyd saw this guy. How did he show up here again? Before Lloyd could react, a stone hit Lloyd's head with perfect accuracy. This left Lloyd dead. Kashi looked ahead. His strength is really surprisingly great. Why does he hate his younger brother so much? Did the younger brother do something to wrong Grandma? Lloyd does not even care about the blood on his forehead. What were you just saying? How could someone like me be a bad person? I look like a messenger of justice, do not I? Only when you look closely do you realize, this old lady is actually a witch. She kept lecturing me, telling me to be a good person in the future, or else I'll be in big trouble later. Lloyd, who's always been determined, ended up being manipulated by an old lady's words, and standing by as a bystander Kakashi, was also unexpectedly caught in the crossfire. Fortunately, the old lady's granddaughter came out and stopped her. Lloyd narrowly escaped disaster. Seeing no hope of taking the village's witch with him, Lloyd began to think about heading south to find other witches. At that moment, the young girl stopped him. Honorable sir, I am the grandmother's granddaughter from earlier. My name is... Before this, let me say something to you. Lloyd, whose head is buzzing, just wants to go home and recover. He does not want to get entangled here, so he says it's nothing. A minor injury, nothing to worry about. He says it nicely. He was thinking to himself that he would have the demon army clean up here later. At that moment, Lloyd heard something unbelievable. Actually, I'm a wizard too. I know you're trying to solve the Church of Salvation issue. As long as you take me with you, your problem will be solved. Lloyd never expected the search for the wizard to end like this. As for the old lady's rudeness just now, well, I forget. Kashi held by the old lady. Kashi's face showed no panic at all, but inside he was scared out of his wits. The old lady tightly held on to Kashi. Child, in the trajectory of your life, I see how kind you are, how loving you are, but the bane of your life is the person you love the most. If you want to live long enough, you must get rid of them as early as possible. When Yawen heard this, Kashi coldly drew his long sword. I respect you as a highly esteemed elder, but please have some self-respect. Do not cross the line in others' fates. Kashi knew that if his younger brother Lloyd unfortunately passed away, he would follow his brother and leave this disgusting continent. On the way back, Lloyd curiously asked, how do you know the future? Or is this a power you're born with? Respected sir, when it comes to powers related to fate, I'm unable to reveal that, but your fate is like a volcano. It could destroy nature at any time, and the boy by the woods is like a bomb. He could destroy a large building just by touching a fuse. Lloyd's scalp tingled when he heard this. Just then, the boy stopped Lloyd. My name is Spectred, sir, please take me with you. In the future, I will definitely be able to lend you a helping hand. Someone who is also not loved, a man who was despised by his family since childhood, and was pushed by fate to run through the shattered river of life. One is a boy who was deemed a disaster by the village shaman. His family and friends were shattered overnight, because he would become the guiding line of disaster in the future. Dan the crowd. The moment Dan saw Lloyd, he understood. This man was the source of the disaster. As long as he followed him, they would be unstoppable. For this, Dan asked Lloyd to take him away from here. The butler at the Earl's mansion was also very surprised at this moment. How did the Count bring back a little boy? Dan is currently pledging to protect Lord Lloyd with his life, even though he cannot do anything, but he has courage. At this moment, Lloyd is just thinking about whether he should send him back, or maybe he should just get Dan to shut up. Right now, the most important thing is to thoroughly investigate the secret of the rescue operation. Lena, take 10 Demon Army soldiers with you before you leave. It's been a while since we've fought. It's time to release some of that built-up stress. And at this moment, Lloyd discovered that Dan actually wanted to join the investigation and rescue mission. This guy does not know anything, taking him on a mission and he's afraid of dying. Forget it. I'll just keep him as a male companion at the mansion for fun. I still do not know what Dan's real intention is. He always carries an aura that makes it hard to dislike him. Before departing, Lloyd specifically instructed that the task this time is to set the fire to save people. The Demon Army commander, you've changed. You're soft-hearted. People like you are the easiest to die in this world. Just when Lloyd was getting impatient with the talk, Lan said it was all her idea. And it was for the Count's good as well. The Demon Army got energized when they heard that the captain would benefit from it. When the mission was carried out, The demon army discovered the people here. However, they were weak as hell. There was some confusion. How could they be tasked with sweeping a place with no combat power? At that moment, someone recognized they are the demon army. Lie the vampire's subordinates. Even if this is an evil church, so what? People's lives are getting better? Saya grabbed the demon army's clothing. She cried, calling out in sorrow. Please leave. This is our home. If you plan to destroy this place, you might as well just kill me too. Uncle, please, I beg you. Once the place is gone, I'll be back on the streets again, living a life of hunger with my brother. As a knight being touched so casually, it's unforgivable. Saya's brother, shouting, Sia, please, come here quickly. The demon soldier raised his murderous sword. The next moment, the sword was dropped to the ground by the demon soldier. Though he was a demon soldier, he still retains a trace of humanity. If he takes the banned drug, he can forget all his guilt. But this place is the last hope for these people. At this moment, the refugees look at the burned rescue church. Their minds consumed by a single thought. The demon army is led by the vampire Lloyd, and Lloyd is Godzilla's lapdog. The order to suppress the rescue team must have come from the Emperor. Meanwhile, Lloyd and the others in the church were fortunate to have infiltrated the place amidst the chaos. Lan, who was performing witchcraft, was shocked to discover that it was actually magic disguised as witchcraft. Lloyd could not believe that magic existed in the human world. With Lan's affirmation, Lloyd also believed in the existence of magic. Could the mastermind behind the rescue sect be a demon lord? At this time, Lan stated that she had already figured out the general structure. Lloyd still wanted to ask what Lan's true abilities were. My lord, we can go now. Lloyd felt hopeful. Let's go. After a flash of light, what the heck is going on? Continuing from the last episode, after Lloyd and the others entered the teleportation array, they found themselves back in the church. Lan told Lloyd to pay attention to their surroundings. Did you see the cracks in these four walls? The room is also filled with magic circles. That door is still in the center of the magic circle. I think the two must be connected. Lena opened the wooden door without a word. What met their eyes was a forest. Just as Lena and Lloyd were dumbfounded, Lang explained beside them. This is also it forcefully connects to other spaces. Only the correct choice can take us to the place we want to go. Lloyd just wants to quickly investigate the secret of the rescue church. At this moment, Lan indicates that witchcraft is what I am good at. Magic is an unfamiliar field. The quickest decryption will still take 10 minutes. 10 minutes? Lloyd is getting a bit anxious right now. What if Kashi gets ahead of him and enters the back of the wooden door? Or what if he's already gotten what he wanted? What if there are other passages inside? The more he thinks about it, the more anxious Lloyd becomes, pacing in place. He's been pacing back and forth. Lena felt sorry for Lloyd's anxious look. My lord, why do not you sit down and wait patiently? However, Lloyd, who had just been circling in place, had disappeared without anyone noticing. Lan noticed Lena's urgent mood. It seems she discovered something. Lloyd's disappearance. At that moment, behind the door, she saw the last person she wanted to see, and Kakashi looked at Lloyd with the same indifferent gaze, but in those eyes, a hidden unseen love. It was a love Lloyd would never feel. The great fire burned away the refugees' hopes. The refugees blamed all their new and old grievances on the tyrant Godzilla. Little did they know, Saren was quietly observing everything in the shadows. It seems the rumors about the demon army being hellish monsters may be false. If it were me, I would seal the building completely. Then I would eliminate everyone inside. What a pity. Vampire Lloyd is doomed to fail. The final winner will only be me. At this moment, Kakashi holds a torch in his hand. Confidential documents scattered on the ground prove that Kakashi has already collected the secrets of the rescue team. Lloyd tentatively asked Kashi, Brother, your movements are so fast. Suddenly, Kakashi made a swift motion with his hand. The torch accelerated and began to fall. Before Lloyd could react, the flames quickly spread. Lloyd could not understand Kakashi's action. At this moment, I just want to salvage the situation. I need to expose the mastermind behind the rescue cult. However, all of this was stopped by Kakashi. Lloyd struggled in anger. You lunatic. Why are you doing this? Do not you need these documents? The frail and sickly Lloyd could not break free from Kakashi's control. He was still being carried by Kakashi, who was walking him out. Quick, put me down. Why is Kakashi doing this? The question kept lingering in my mind. The mastermind behind the rescue? Aside from a few in the Empire, there should not be many others, right? Whose symbol is purple again? Also Kakashi, who you following? I guess it's due. You planned all of this, did not you? And how dare you toy with me? Suddenly, Lloyd, struggling, slams his left hand against the door. This foolish little brother. In the heat of the moment, a sweet surge of fresh blood erupted. Lena and Lam were pinned down by Kakashi. Then Lloyd was thrown to Lena. The second personality emerged. Kakashi, I will definitely kill you. Kakashi lowered his voice and said, If you want to live, pretend nothing here ever happened. Lai, who has just woken up, is now trying to recall what Kakashi was doing at that moment. It seems that Kakashi had a backup plan. At this moment, Lena walked. Lloyd immediately asked if Lan had left. He wanted to know how Lan broke the spell. Lena said, My lord, this is all thanks to you. Lan said, draw a circle around a certain point. Go around 3 times to the left, then 2 times to the right. That's the specific action that automatically moves you to the secret room. Lloyd only then remembered his actions in the secret room, his uncontrolled spinning and moving around. My lord, your luck must be exceptionally good. At this time, the butler opened the door. My lord, the count has a distinguished guest. The emperor has issued an order, summoning the count to the palace immediately. As expected, what I feared has come. He is the master of the empire. He has been tormented by evil spirits for years. The enemies he destroyed with his peripheral vision will transform into vengeful souls. Time constantly erodes his will. His words are full of resentment. He hates that the Kuranim live so well. They have become something neither human nor ghost. At this moment, a call pulls Godzilla back to reality. The crown prince's face is filled with fear. Uncle, what's wrong? Do you need me to summon the palace doctor to check your health? In Godzilla's eyes, the crown prince was surrounded by evil spirits. The crown prince noticed Godzilla's abnormality. He took a deep breath. Uncle, why are you starting to hallucinate too? I'll summon the palace doctor right away. It's okay. Uncle, I can still manage. I've just been a little tired lately. At least I can see them in the illusion. I'm still very happy. The crown prince gritted his teeth and said, illusions are making you unable to distinguish between reality and virtuality. Uncle, enough. Do not you think you've done enough? They've been compensated for everything. Uncle, what more do you want? At this time, Godzilla stated that such after effects were unavoidable. The crown prince wanted to say something else. Godzilla's next words silenced the crown prince. From the moment I ascended the throne, it was destined to be a life of corpses and blood. The situation was also inedible. It is something I must endure. This little bit is not enough to crush me. At this moment, Lloyd feels a sense of wanting to cry but being unable to. The evil Kashi is always watching him, talking Kashi. This guy is still ignoring me. When Godzilla sat on the throne, Kakashi and Lloyd, the two brothers, both paid their respects to Godzilla, bringing light to the empire. Long live the emperor. At this moment, Godzilla spoke. I'm very satisfied with your performance this time. However, your performance this time was a bit underwhelming. The phrase a bit underwhelming means in Lloyd's understanding that the mission was not completed. The emperor wants to kill me. Kakashi successfully completed the mission this time. He not only investigated the mastermind behind the mission, he also brought back important evidence. This opportunity to fulfill a wish should belong to Kashi. The disappointed Lloyd could only turn his head away, trying not to show his disappointment. He knew very well that Kakashi and Lucas had conspired together. The next moment, Kashi spoke of this wish. I hope to transfer the current territory in Lloyd's domain to myself. Godzilla instantly became interested. Lloyd, what is your opinion? Law was inwardly awkwardly replied on the surface. Island? At this moment, Godzilla continued. You should know. A person who owns a territory needs to have a noble title. The original territory already has a noble title. One can only give up their surname and receive a noble title with a new surname, or become the head of the original family. Kashi, which one will you choose? At this moment, Lloyd was transported back to 8 years ago. At that time, Godzilla also gave himself the same choice. Did not change my surname. Instead, I personally destroyed my own family. After that, I became the vampire count revered by all. Just when Lloyd was sure that Kakashi would choose between two options, what surprised Lloyd was that the subject did not want to change his surname, nor did he want to inherit the family. What is going on here? Why is Kashi doing this? Godzilla sighed. These two brothers are really cut from the same cloth. Lloyd sneered. Does Kashi really want to take revenge on me? At that moment, Godzilla suggested transferring the ownership of Lloyd's territory. The Duke will gladly appoint you as the territory's administrator. Now that the matter is settled, then, I thank you for your grace. While Lloyd was dumbfounded, Kashi quickly left the hall. In the hall, Lloyd and Godzilla met each other's gaze. Lloyd was completely stunned. Godzilla saw the sadness on Lloyd's face. I really wish Lloyd had something to say, to talk to me properly. Maybe Lloyd has not killed anyone in too long, too much pressure. Law, I intend to wage war. The Aline Kingdom has been acting rather boisterously lately. My goal is to destroy the Aline Kingdom. Unify. You watch over the Demon Realm. You've worked hard. The Demon King cannot just stand by and watch the Empire annex the continent. And you are the Demon King's most trusted person. I hope you stay close to the Demon Pearl. Do your best to prevent the Demon Army from interfering in this war. Lloyd has also understood Godzilla's intentions. Back to the Demon World, huh? At this moment, Godzilla offered his blessing. I hope the next time we meet, the curse mark on you will be gone. I'll try my best. That Demon King will not even accept my resignation letter. I still have to hope he'll lift the mark. This man with a godlike physique. Who is the man behind him? Is it the Demon King from the Demon Realm, possessing destructive power? Or the Tyrant Godzilla from the strongest human empire? Or his brother Kakashi, whom he both loves and hates? At this time, Lucas, holding the reward he received from Kashi, curiously asked Kashi, are you sure this hard-earned reward? Is it in exchange for Lloyd's territory? Yes, my lord. Looking into Kashi's determined eyes, he continued, a few days ago I met Lloyd at the palace. He told me the purpose of coming to the palace is to reclaim the territory. Kakashi, you are not trying to reclaim the territory just to keep your little brother, are you? Please do not tell me that's the reason. At this moment, Kashi casually said, I just do not have anything in particular that I want. In an instant, Lucas's scorpion-like pupils narrowed. Then he said with a smile, it seems the upcoming meeting made me a little sensitive. It's infuriating. How could those two brothers possibly be at peace? Kakashi, I do not mean to accuse you. This is simply a reward prepared for you. Kakashi appeared calm on the surface, but still took a deep breath. At that time his brother discovered Lucas's secret. He initially thought his brother could achieve some success in the rescue mission which would make him retreat. If his brother had been discovered by Lucas, Lloyd would have found out his secret. Thinking this, Kakashi trembled. Kakashi, let's go, otherwise we'll be late for the meeting. At this moment Kakashi decided to keep this a secret. Saren, you're back. Saren, your grace. Thank you for your hard work with the Salvation Church. Sal and I'm just doing my duty. And many believers of the Salvation Church have survived. Soon, you will get what you desire. The purpose of the Salvation Church is to provide refugees with food and warmth, while the Emperor is the one who destroys their sanctuary. The Emperor has become a sinner. The Duke became the one to rescue them. At that moment in the meeting hall, several half-buried nobles were panicking. His Majesty suddenly summoned them. Is something major about to happen? Lucas looked at the foolish nobles. Such a large movement from Godzilla can only be to prove himself. Just then, Godzilla and Suku arrived late. The nobles rose and cried out, "Bring light to the Empire." Lucas noticed Godzilla's complexion was very bad. It seemed he was unwell. Godzilla then announced that he would wage war. The nobles at the meeting were confused. The war had barely stopped. Godzilla said happily, "The war was called off back then because no kingdom could pose a threat to us. But now, some nations have already forgotten the terror of the Empire." At this moment, a noble, "If it's about the matter of the Ilian kingdom, there's absolutely no need to start a war. What you've seen is just the surface. If we compare the Empire to a lion, then the Ilian kingdom is a hyena. If we do not strike this hyena down immediately, then what awaits in the future is this hyena and its pack of hyenas surrounding the lion. At that time, who will win and who will lose?" Furthermore, only 3 heroes survived from the war back then, and the LA Kingdom, using the excuse of Vampire Lloyd being injured, is trying to extort our empire. Everyone, let's prove this to the entire continent. The Empire is not only about the Vampire Lloyd. Your Majesty, think carefully. It may be too soon to conquer the continent with the Empire's strength. Moreover, there are still rebel forces lurking within. At this moment, the voices of the nobles in the meeting hall are noisy. Godzilla gracefully sips his tea. He suddenly slams it back onto the table. "Do not forget, everyone. I'm the I called you here to discuss. You are here to listen to my orders. This war launched against foreign powers begins now." At this moment, Godzilla called out to Lucas, "I heard the person behind the rescue cult is someone from the aristocratic faction opposing you." Lucas said it's all due to poor management on the part of the ministers. Godzilla swiftly pressed his sword against Lucas' throat. "Why would you not accept me, despite how rare I am? Your Majesty, the one I love in my heart is Lloyd." "Wrong. Try again." Godzilla pressed the sword against Lucas's throat. "You dare defy me?" "Your Majesty, I dare not." "Lucas, you know that lately rumors are spreading among the people that I am a sinner." "Your Majesty, how can you believe the words of fools? Compared to sin, I prefer calamity." "Duke, would not you agree?" "Your Majesty, would you dare to act against me? Do not forget, I have destroyed a ducal family before. Do not think that because you are the last ducal family in the Empire, I would hesitate." "Your Majesty, of course, would not hesitate if I were to die unexpectedly. The nobles might oppose you. It's already difficult enough for your Majesty to wage war." "Lucas, you dare still call me a sinner? Clearly some people are born sinners. You dare, you're overestimating yourself." At this moment, Lucas knew that to overthrow Godzilla, he had to pull out his fangs. He did not want to wait a moment longer. Lloyd, who was unexpectedly caught in the crossfire, was having tea with the Crown Prince. Lloyd was surprised. The Crown Prince actually knew he was returning to the Demon Realm, and was even seeing him off. The Crown Prince calmly replied, "As an important person in the Empire, there are not any secrets in the whole country that I do not know. You cannot hide it from my eyes. You do not have to be nervous, Count. Uncle has assigned you the task of stopping the Demon King from starting a war. As a Crown Prince, I will give you another task. No matter whether a war is started or not, you must return. I will remember the Crown Prince's instructions. That is..." The Crown Prince stood up. He glanced at Lloyd as he left. Soon after, the Crown Prince returned to the palace. He wondered how to deal with Lloyd after his headache. He's a hero of the Empire, and also the commander of the Demon King's army. What if the Demon King offers a reward greater than the Empire's? Lloyd will definitely betray the Empire. Maybe Lloyd's very existence is a mistake. Should I correct this mistake? Why is everyone? Right at this moment, Princess Ailey appeared. "Brother, why did not you bring me when you went to see Lloyd?" "Sister, you know very well. Brother went to discuss important matters. How about I give you my position as Crown Prince?" Hey, brother, I do not like that position." The Crown Prince still tries to appeal to his sister's emotions. "Brother, cannot you be less impatient?" The atmosphere gradually becomes tense. A lie continues. Recently the Empire has been in turmoil, and with the upcoming war, I understand how you feel, brother. A lie grabs her brother's hand. "Brother, I just want to help you relax. My sister specially prepared some tea." "Sister, Uncle is already hallucinating." "Uncle's not a nightmare. He's having hallucinations, right?" "I do not understand. They were all bad people. They're dead, and that's it. In any case, Uncle is the closest person to us in this world. For him, We will eliminate all enemies in the world. Brother, Uncle's condition is so serious. Are not you going to find an imperial doctor? Sister, it's useless. You know how stubborn Uncle is. Besides his pathological sense of responsibility, 'tis anyone down. Brother, you need to clarify what you mean. That's not a sense of responsibility in Uncle. It's guilt, right? Exactly. Sister, you're right. That's right. Just how much does the Crown Prince know? And what are his intentions? One thing in public, another behind the scenes. What exactly are they trying to do? Dan, who just came in, saw Lloyd sitting there with a dark expression, lost in thought. Lloyd also noted, is there something wrong? Master, I want to make money. Lloyd looked confused. Dan knew how scary the master was, but this was even more terrifying than the rumors. Master, all the money I earn will belong to you. From the moment I first saw you, I wondered what your purpose was in approaching me. It no longer matters. As long as you are mine, loyal to me, that is enough. Take this to show the butler. You have full control over the wealth of the Earl's estate, although I do not know what Dan plans to do with me while I'm around. As long as he's useful to me, that's all that matters. Soon nightfall arrives. My lord, everything you need is in your bag. The butler, like a worried father, is concerned about his child traveling far. Lloyd reassures the butler not to worry. Just take care of the manor. If his home was not raided, he'd feel relieved. Just then, the demon army, known for their craziness, rode their horses weeping and shouted, Captain, are you going to abandon us again, to enjoy your happiness alone? Lloyd looked at these problematic team members. He's also stunned inside. The rest is up to you, butler. Can my old bones still handle this? Captain, wait for us. We want to go together. At this moment, the butler gently waved. The demon army was lifted up like little chicks. The demon army behind could not stop their charge. He immediately fell flat on his face like a dog eating shit. At this moment, Lena said, Mr. Butler, I'm very sorry. I apologize for disturbing you. The remaining demon army has collapsed. At least before the captain goes on a long journey. He should settle them first. The emperor is truly terrifying. A figure appeared in the distance, silently watching their every move. The butler was silent for a moment. He looked towards the distance. The figure that had been lurking had already disappeared. Lloyd, this moment, wondered if the entrance to the demon realm was in this location. Behind Lloyd, a lurking assailant reveals a weapon. Far ahead, on Lloyd's way back to the demon realm, it seemed calm and peaceful. But in reality, it was full of conspiracies. The moment the assassin drew his yew, he was destined to be close to death. And all of this was within the emperor's expectations. Unfortunately, when the covert agents received the intelligence that Lloyd had left the Earl's residence, they immediately reported it to the leader of the rebel army. At this moment, Lucas and the rebels were discussing how Godzilla attacking the kingdom of Ellie would surely draw out domestic military forces. At that time, the rebels are in internal turmoil. It's bound to become a serious threat. At Lucas' suggestion, the rebels sent their elite to track Lloyd. Little did they know, it was all Lucas's plot. After the guards eliminated the assassins tracking Lloyd, they prepared to report to the emperor. At this moment, Kakashi appears. He eliminates all the guards. As long as Godzilla is sent out to protect Lloyd's guards, kill them all, Godzilla will be thrown into confusion. Once a flaw in Godzilla is found, Godzilla will be knocked off his pedestal. The flaw in Godzilla. This is the destination of Lloyd's mission. As long as Kashi tracks Lloyd, confirming the location Lloyd is heading to, this flaw will be exposed. Kashi hopes you will not let me down. Scene transition. Saya is slumped in front of the rescue church. Saya's brother regrets. If we do not bring Saya to such a hopeful place, how could this happen? It's all the Emperor's fault. Saya, I'm going to join the rebel army. Will you come with me? Saya is the first child younger than me in the slums, said Saya, who made me feel like I had a family. But Sienna's indifferent expression disappointed him deep. After taking just a few steps, he stopped in his tracks. He gazed at Sienna in the rain. He left. What would happen to Sienna? This heart-wrenching pain. It was beyond what he could bear. Legion Commander Lloyd left the demon realm half a year ago. As your I feel ashamed listening to you lamenting Lloyd every day. I should just quit this job. This job is not worth doing. Just then, Lily felt a familiar presence and involuntarily took flight. The adjutant quickly interjected, Commander, you've flown hundreds of times in the last 6 months. Besides, the Demon Lord forbids the use of magic here. If the Demon Lord finds out, would not he have me a mere adjutant executed? The adjutant had just finished speaking when Lily disappeared into the sky. Lily in the He recognized that familiar figure at a glance. Lord Lloyd has really returned. Lloyd was thinking about how he would conceal his vulnerability upon returning to the demon realm, when he suddenly heard Lily's voice. A loud bang echoed in front of him. Lily called out in a cute voice, Master Lloyd, it's been a long time. But the crack on the ground, and then looking at the cute Lily, Lloyd appeared calm on the surface, but deep inside he was already terrified. He even started talking about his human experiences. This mission is quite boring. It's just a bunch of weird charlatans. At this moment, Lily says something surprising. Is a charlatan a very powerful magic wand? Lloyd pauses for a moment and continues. A charlatan is someone who deceives others all the time. Lily must not learn from them. The human world is truly terrifying. I really do not understand why Lord Demon King sent Lord Lloyd to such a terrible place. Lord Demon King is currently in the central courtyard. Lord Lloyd should hurry up and hand over the task. I will wait for Lord Lloyd here. In the central courtyard, the Demon King is looking at the old wall lamp in the demon realm's lower ranks. The Elf King and the Mermaid Princess are very worried. After Godzilla annexed the kingdom of Alai, would attack in the demon realm affect their lives? The dwarves say they support it with all 10 fingers. The Vampire Queen listens to her few brainless teammates' analysis, and his speech. The Demon King smiles slightly. Keep pretending, just keep pretending. Spending the whole day meddling with mysterious and eerie things behind my back. At this moment, the Elven King continues. If Godzilla attacks the demon realm, how would you respond? The Mermaid Queen interjected. If the demons were willing to send troops to attack Godzilla now, perhaps the kingdom of Ellie could still hold off Godzilla. Although the Demon King is very angry, the outward friendship still needs to be maintained. At this moment, the Demon King, that figure I've been thinking about so much, my dear Lloyd has finally returned. I assume the intelligence from the human world is already clear him. Though he claims to be the strongest vampire, in the Demon King's presence, Lloyd becomes nothing more than a timid, weak man. Because this is a demon world where even a hero would perish, the seemingly cute little girl can crush the floor with a single kick. Even the seemingly harmless gardener cultivates man-eating plants. At this moment, the Demon King begins to examine the magic left on Lloyd and asks Lloyd to explain to everyone here. The purpose of Godzilla attacking the Ellie Kingdom is it to conquer the continent. Law with no choice began to report the intelligence truthfully. At that moment, the Elven King raised a doubt. Are you sure this so-called human can be trusted? The atmosphere on site grew increasingly ominous. Law under questioning, a desire to kill all the demons and monsters present. The Demon Lord, sensing something amiss, quickly said, Everyone, Lloyd is my Legion commander. Here, he's my most capable subordinate. Watching the smiling Demon Lord, Lloyd understands this too. As long as there's even a slight possibility of betrayal on his part, he'll be killed by the Demon Lord. Perhaps this is the Demon Lord hinting to him that he better obey. The dwarf roared. What orders did Godzilla give you? I want to know now. Godzilla ordered me to monitor the Demon King and prevent the demon realm from interfering in the war. No matter what happens, I must return. After hearing Lloyd's intelligence, the Demon King felt that Godzilla must have some ulterior motive. At that moment, Lord Demon, I also discovered magic in the human world, a religion called the Rescue Sect. That place uses witchcraft as a cover. I did not. The demon only gave a soft sound, then smiled and said, Lie, you worked hard. I'll investigate this matter. However, before going back to the room, first let Dr. Ilya treat your left arm. Suddenly, Dr. I appeared before Lloyd. Lloyd, who was suffering greatly, suddenly let out a long sigh, releasing the pent-up emotions he'd carried from the human world. This confirmed that Lloyd had been injured again in the fire world. I helped Lloyd leave. The Demon King fell into deep thought. Just then, the Elven King mocked. Who has the audacity to use magic in the human world? I guess it's you, huh? Huh, you're truly an impolite fellow.